Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Thursday evening. It is your boys' first time back since Monday right here in the chair. Missed Tuesday's show, was a little bit out on the grind out here on the recruiting trail. It is midway through, about a third of the way through our spring tour. Maybe a fourth of the way through our spring tour. We hit schools 13, 14, and 15 today. We'll be up at Gainesville tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning, and then we'll be heading south down to Warner Robins area to check out Isaiah Gibson and all those folks down there in that Warner Robins area of Georgia tomorrow. And then Saturday, we're going to wake up and drag our butt over to the west side of Atlanta, go check out McEachern over there and Coach Kareem Reed over there and see those guys. But it's been a while since I've kind of updated you guys on this tour, and it was a big week on this one. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 schools already this week, and it's just Thursday. So it was a very productive week out on the trail. Started out in Rome on Monday at Rome High School up there with Coach Reed and those guys. Always a physical football program. I actually checked out Rome High School not last year, but the year before. They were playing Carrollton, a televised game that I was calling. So when I go call high school football games, I like to see those teams practice that week like you normally would. Do your research, all that good shit. Went up there and saw them on a Thursday, dude. So they're playing the next day. Mm-hmm. Thursday, full pads. Okay, they were doing goal line period, dog, when I pulled up to practice. They out here crack-a-lacking all day long. That's every time insane. They get an opportunity, too. Say what now?
That's just insane. No.
Yeah, a little bit insane, but when you play the brand of football that they do, it's who we are, right? We're going to show up and we're going to hit you in the mouth for 4 quarters, and you're going to have to deal with it. So always enjoy going to watch them practice because I know I'm not going to see no loafing. I know I'm not going to see no slapping around. They're going to be out there getting after it. Unfortunately for me, Jaden Harmon being one of my favorite players, and I think one of the show's favorite players in 2025. He was a little bit limited during practice with a knee injury, so didn't get a chance to see him. Ohio State was in town the day I saw them. Coach James Laurinaitis had a chance to get to meet him. Loved watching him play. I don't know if you guys remember the James Laurinaitis years at Ohio State, but that was an absolute dog in the 33. So a pleasure to talk with him on the sideline there. The name to know for me, Ryan Sykes. R-H-Y-O-N. Ryan Sykes' dad, Ray Sykes, he's a junior. Ray Sykes Jr. His dad, Ray Sykes, was a defensive lineman at Tennessee. This is a guy who, like, relatively unknown from I don't even think he has a profile standpoint on, like, on 3 24/7 Rivals, but this spring already popped an offer from Michigan State, already popped an offer from West Virginia. He's a 2025 safety. He will be a Power 5 football player, and he'll commit to that university, and that university's fan base is going to go, who is this guy? And then they'll look for a profile of him. They won't find one. They'll be like, what the heck were we doing? Well, you just signed and committed a 6'2", 200-pound safety that moves really, really well and has a SEC pedigree. So that's what this guy is. I think, like I said, he will pop on the Power 5 level really, really quickly, and people will ultimately catch on to this one. Everybody will be like, oh my God, where'd this guy come from? Well, he's been a 2-year starter at Rome High School. He's a really good football player. After that, Tuesday, I went to Duluth, saw Demola. Now, I don't want to butcher Demola's last name, but I'm going to give it a run. You guys know my rule. If you're Nigerian, I'm on you. I'm right here. I am all on your bandwagon. I'm going to be singing your praises for a while. Demola is an offensive tackle at Duluth. Now, the interesting thing about Demola is very, very late riser on the recruiting circuit, right? This is a football player like most of these young Nigerian, particularly line of scrimmage players that I bump into. Demola was like 240 pounds at the end of his sophomore year. He stands at 300 pounds now and carries it really, really well. God. Guess what, boys? Skinny ankles on Demola. He's going to live at tackle. I honestly, not just because of the Nigerian bloodlines and like super first generation American type, like strong Nigerian bloodlines, Fashanu was kind of my vibe. Well, I've never seen Fashanu outside like this close, saw him at the combine, but this idea of, oh, you just started playing football your 9th grade year. Oh, you were playing basketball. You were playing soccer. You're first generation American. You come here, you gain 80 pounds and you still move like a deer. You might have a chance to be a high-ceiling NFL-type football player in the very near future. Guys, carries 300 pounds and has like a really thin face. And when I see this, really thin face, really thin waist, only 300 pounds, you're going to play at 335 in college, and you're going to carry it like that. So super, super high on Demola over there. Per my sourcing, has ventured into that take range for the University of Georgia here in the 2025 class, a name to certainly know here in this state. After that, went over to Walton. Walton, a perennial stop for me. Just love the way those guys are coached. Love watching their offensive system. Always very unique ways of going about, getting guys the ball in space and just getting guys open in general. Really love what they do over there and always have. The Ward brothers just transferred over there. Christian Ward and Alex Ward. Christian Ward was a football player you guys on the YouTube channel might know about if you watched the series Friday Night Lights. We went out there and watched him and Julian at Carrollton last year. He's now at Walton along with his younger brother. Christian Ward got an offer from Georgia back in, I think, February, maybe early March. Has gotten on to the Power 5 market this spring. Texas was there at Walton the day I was there to watch him as well. However, Christian's great. Christian's going to play Power 5 football. His brother Alex is going to be a freak. Like Alex Ward, he's a rising sophomore over there. He's got a very unique twitch to him as an athlete. I think he's going to play corner in college. He's going to moonlight as an athlete in high school, going to kind of do it all out there this year. After that, went over to Alpharetta. Alpharetta had a 7:30 practice on Tuesday. That's where you guys were trying to get me into the show, technical difficulties, all that kind of nonsense. Buddy, I've seen Julius Holly a lot, the edge rusher over there at Alpharetta, and I don't mind saying this publicly because I told him this to his face. The first 4 times I saw Julius Holly, despite the fact that he was a Power 5 guy, despite the fact that Marcus Howard is his position coach, and despite the fact that Marcus was telling me over and over again, this is going to be my next one. This is going to be my next. I never saw it. I saw beautiful, looked great, tremendous body, tremendous frame. Knew eventually maybe it would blossom. Boy, it has blossomed at Alpharetta. Okay, this guy's right at 6'4", right at 230 pounds at the Under Armour event in Atlanta at Carrollton High School. He ran 4.71 and clocked a 10 split at 169. Had he been at the combine this year, he had the fastest 10 split of any edge rusher in the draft. So this is a very physically gifted young man. Just popped an Arkansas offer. Georgia will see him next week. Don't know if they're going to offer. Don't know if they have, or I know they haven't. But I know they're certainly evaluating him. He looked really, really good at practice the other day. So Julius Holly, a name to keep tabs on. Now, a guy at Carrollton, this was a 5:30 in the morning practice start time out there at the indoor facility. It's always funny watching people outside of the state react to those videos. They're like, holy shit, it's an indoor facility? What's going on here? Yeah, it's just Georgia high school football. There's 6 of them in the state of Georgia. Rome's got one, Colquitt's got one, Peach County's got one, Carrollton's got one, Colquitt's got one. Did I say Colquitt? Lowndes has one. Okay, there's a bunch of these around the state of Georgia because money, or football talks and money gets invested into it. But the name to know, obviously everybody knows Julian Lewis out there. The name I'm paying attention to as just like CJ Wiley feels now in 2025 as a must-have receiver type target, I feel that way about Ryan Mosley, the 2026 wide receiver out there at Carrollton. He's built like a brick shit house. 6'2", 205, big quads, thick, not to do the thing, but big thick back end on this guy. Super explosive, super physical. I like it a lot. I forgot to mention Colin Porter, 2027 wide receiver at Alpharetta. That Alpharetta staff, some of those guys came from Hoover. A lot of those guys coached George Pickens. I always take it with a grain of salt when high school football coaches tell me this, but when a high school football coach who's coached George Pickens tells me that the rising sophomore is ahead of schedule in comparison to George Pickens, and he's already 6'2", 185 pounds, we're going to pay attention. Okay, we're going to pay attention to Colin Porter Fields, out of Alpharetta High School. Let's keep going on. I went to Central Carrollton. Very, very young class over at Central Carrollton. It'll be on the list of returning spring visits for me for the foreseeable future, all the way through that 2028 class. They have 3 rising freshmen out there that could play at any and every 6 and 7A school coming up this fall. Really, really talented group. I was out there to see Jonas Walton, the 2026 running back. Guys, he's running in the 10.6s right now in the 100. I would be misleading you if I told you the tape said that. But when you verify run that, it doesn't matter what the tape says. I mean, you're a 10.6 guy. I mean, end of story. I think it's more of a long speed 10.6 than it is a quick acceleration 10.6 based off, again, what I've seen on the tape. But that is a guy Georgia's obviously offered. However, with the running back coaching change at Georgia, I think you're going to kind of get reset for a little bit in terms of where you stand with a lot of these young men. It sounds like Tennessee, Florida State, USC is in the mix for Jonas Walton. He's going to be a really, really big name in that class. After Central Carrollton, I went to Douglas County High School. Shout out to DeVille, your boy's hometown. I slid through Hudson's afterwards, got me a couple barbecue sandwiches and a sweet tea, and hit the road. But anyways, went to Douglas County High School. That offensive line could be like Gulf South Conference good, like right now. They have a bunch of high school kids, and I think they average 6'3", 305.
Jeez, good Lord.
They have a rising freshman. Check this one. 6'9.5".
Nice. 305
pounds.
Golly.
It's pretty big.
I don't know where they're finding these kids. Now, I know where they found him. He was at Alexander during my trip last year. He's actually zoned for DC, so he's going there now. I'm not even going to give you the name because he's got a ways to go. But from a wow, look at that thing. Mm-hmm. That's insane that they even create those types of humans nowadays playing football. But I go to Douglas County not just for Aaron Gregory, not just for James Johnson, the 2 wide receivers. They got another one, number 10, that's out there. That's a mid-major D1 guy. I don't just go out there for the wide receivers. I go out there personally for the next 2 years to watch Jordan Carter practice because it's just a joy. Yeah. I find joy in watching football players play like they love playing football. And that dude loves football. He loves to talk some shit, but he loves football. So I am a big, big, big Jordan Carter fan. So there's that. South Gwinnett got a name for you. Jaden Breaker.
Ooh,
what a linebacker name, by the way. What a linebacker name for Jaden Breaker. Has a official visit scheduled for South Carolina. He's an SEC guy, 6'3.5", about 205 pounds, super good athlete, and has played for a while over at South Gwinnett. Like that a lot out there. Jaden Shivers, a defensive lineman that they have as well. He's committed right now to SMU, but there's some bigger schools evaluating him. Finished the day off at Grayson and Brookwood. Grayson has a defensive lineman that I actually got put onto by Georgia. I don't know how they consistently do this, but they do. It's part of the reason why they recruit as well as they do, because they're never not informed on a football player. This kid got to Grayson like 4 months ago. He's from Cameroon originally. He looked like God created him to play defensive tackle. He's 6'4", 280 pounds, and I don't know what he's been doing, but he looks like he lifts more weights than anybody at Grayson, and I don't think he's lifted weights.
It's Francis Ngannou.
Basically, yeah. It's what he looks like. He looks like Francis Ngannou. Like the muscular structure on that human right now, insane. I think Coach told me he's only 16 years old. He's a rising senior. No tape at all. I guarantee you he leaves the spring with multiple Division I offers. So that was, I don't even have his name. I think his name's Joseph. We'll get the actual name for you guys if coaches want it that listen to the show. But obviously you go to Grayson right about now to see Tyler Atkinson. I tweeted this, and I truly believe this, and I'll tell you why. Tyler Atkinson, when he first popped onto the scene, was an 8th grade Power 5 offer kid. Okay, like immediately, big time SEC, Big Ten offers the moment people saw him in 8th grade when he started camping as an edge rusher. Okay, and this is a real tough thing for a guy who, Tyler's about 6'2.5", maybe 6'3". He weighs in at like 210 right now. He could be a Power 5 offered edge rusher still today. I think he had almost 10 sacks last year at Grayson. But they knew very early on, we're not going to be 6'5". but we are NFL talented. So let's move off ball immediately. As soon as he got to high school, moved off ball to an inside linebacker position and had to grow in a very new position where we're standing on the line of scrimmage, and now we're going to stand off the line of scrimmage and we're going to read everything in front of us and still have to key. What did he do? As a true freshman, next to a commit that went to Tennessee, he had 110 tackles as a true freshman at Grayson, followed it up like 130 last year, maybe 140. If he had 150 tackles this year, I'm not going to be surprised. He's an absolute ball sniffer. The dude knows where it's at all time, moves first. Y'all can laugh all you want. Dude sniffs it out immediately at the linebacker position. And as talented as he is, he's 6'2 and a half, 207, probably is a 4'6", guy, maybe sub 4'6" guy. As talented as he is, gentlemen, I think he works as hard or harder than any football player I've evaluated and has since he's 14 years old. He trains pass rushing with Marcus Howard. He trains tackling with Spencer Smith. He trains drops with Oliver Davis. If you are an elite defensive trainer in Atlanta, you know and are a, he is a client of yours in this area. Tyler Atkinson is the most, I know that kid's going to be great in college linebacker evaluation I've ever had.
It's like confidence level. Give me a percentage.
That he's going to be great?
Yeah.
99.9%. The only reason Tyler Atkinson is not a 85 total tackle guy at some point in his SEC, Big Ten, Power 5 conference career, top 10 football program career is if injuries come around. And by the way, I think I saw last year, I think he played with a cast on his hand, but like outside of that,
bones are bones.
Dude stayed healthy, tremendously healthy throughout high school.
Good stuff.
And I forgot Brookwood as well. Braden Tyson is a 2027 running back out of there. That very rarely do you see running backs that are this big, this early, that have these types of ball skills. He's already like 6'1", 210, 215.
Good Lord.
And he was last year as a true freshman when he was a freshman All-American.
Gotcha. So I know you talked about Isaiah Gibson. Who are the other big names still left that you have not seen?
Oh,
yet?
My Lord. We got all kinds of dudes.
I know you said you're only a quarter of a way, so.
Yeah, Gainesville's got an edge rusher that I've seen since he was a freshman when Niblett first got there. Looked like he could barely walk and chew gum as a true freshman, but you could see it. Like you could see the body. I think On3 just ranked that kid inside the top 25 in 2026. We'll see. I'm super excited to see him tomorrow just because I know he's a Power 5 body. I mean, he's 6'3 and a half, 230 and runs like a deer. So we'll see him tomorrow. And then I'm super excited to see the Warner Robins bunch just as a whole. Go to Houston County, then go to Warner Robins. We'll be skipping out on Boosie's. You know, they got a Buc-ee's down there. We're going pass that one and chop the deuces and hit a quick trip like you're supposed to, because you know I love myself and I have some respect. But
you really hate Buc-ee's that much.
I just think it's one of those things, man. It's overrated as shit.
It is overrated.
So overrated.
I don't think it's worse.
And they're like, man, you got to try the jerky. It's not even that good. Oh, you got to try the barbecue sandwich. It's not even that good. I think the best thing that I've had from Buc-ee's is they got like barbecue chicken.
Their pralines are
it's
insane.
not bad. They're what?
Pralines are
are insane.
What the hell are pralines?
Don't know what a praline is?
Why y'all looking at me like I'm the crazy one for not knowing what pralines
That's
are?
pretty crazy to not know what a praline is.
I've never even heard the word praline.
It's like a dessert in Louisiana where it's like sugar and almonds and like creams and stuff like that.
Just candy nuts?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Why do they call them pralines?
I don't know. I can Google it for you.
Probably one of those things that the Louisiana adapted from the French. Now you got pralines.
For sure.
Well, there you go. Well, that is the rundown so far of the tour. Welcome into tonight's show. We do indeed have a loaded one for you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review. And where do you want to start, boys? Y'all show from here on out.
Let's go. We can hit Miami first. I think that's a big hitter for to move on from here. I specifically thought about this, talking about Miami's future, because I was reading this article talking about the biggest headlines leaving the spring, and it was talking about Miami potentially having a big year. I know it's like a tradition of the college football offseason. Miami might be a big year, but Cam Ward in his spring game for Miami went 19 of 24, so to 79% completion percentage for 324 yards and 3 touchdowns.
That algorithm got him.
Oh yeah, the algorithm got him, and he played well. It seems like just based off of the stats, and also, I mean, you go look at the Hurricanes schedule. It's pretty much a cakewalk. I don't see any slip ups potentially for them, or like any big games where it's like automatic L for the most part. Like they go at Florida to open the season, then it's Florida A&M at home, Ball State at home, a weird trip out to USF for a road game, Virginia Tech at home, Cal on the road, Louisville on the road, Florida State at home, Duke at home, Georgia Tech on the road, and then closing it out with Wake Forest and Syracuse at home.
USF has been getting so many weird home
I was about
games.
to say, I don't know who USF's athletic director is, but the last 2 years you had a home game between Alabama and Miami at your crib. That's
Shout
big
out.
time stuff. That AD's out here swindling folks.
But yeah, no, I mean that's a 9-3 schedule. It should
It's a
be.
very doable schedule, very winnable schedule. And I'm with the Cam Ward hype. By the way, he's got a tremendous amount of weapons down there, at least from a get open now standpoint.
Yeah.
And he's been historically accurate throughout his career. And you know they have some decent offensive line talent. You know they're going to be really well coached on the offensive line between both Mirabal and Cristobal down there. So if you can provide protection for them, and you've got weapons, and obviously they've had to flip over basically their entire running back room. Didn't they have 2 running backs hit the portal and added another one just this spring? So it's been some transition right there, and a new offensive coordinator.
They got
down there
the
as well.
Damian Martinez kid, didn't they?
Yes,
That's
from
what they
Oregon
got.
State. So yeah, and I think, like I said, maybe he's down there in his second year as offensive coordinator, but they've had some turnover down there. But it is a promising schedule and a promising group of talent with what most people believe to be a top 6 college quarterback right now in Cam Ward.
Yeah, some people think he's a first rounder next year.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you that he's got 4 years of starts.
Yeah.
Got that, yeah.
Gotta have it.
A year and a half at Washington State, and then his previous stop. I'm here to tell you, if Cam Ward was a first round draft pick, he wouldn't be playing in college football right now, would he? I mean, I know that Miami NIL bag is thick,
Bo
but
Nix.
it ain't NFL thick.
Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels.
Bo Nix was not a first round draft eval until this year, was he?
But I guess
mean,
that's
you
kind
could
of
argue
like,
Cam Ward wasn't a first round draft.
I guess it's kind of like playing the
Still
route
not.
of
he might play into it.
I guess it's playing the route of like, you know, Jalen Milroe. People think that he's going to play himself into the first round. Like coming out of this season, though, he's not a first round talent. But I think, again, also like we have this discussion a lot of next year's quarterback class. There's a lot of questions. People don't exactly know what they're going to be getting inside of this class. And it's very top heavy, whether it's 2 or 3 names that people really like. So I think that plays in favor of him as well. But definitely got to have a strong season with Miami. You mentioned 9-3. I guess that's successful for Miami, but I would say it probably needs to be better than that. I think you need to get 10 wins from this schedule.
This schedule seems to me like the type of schedule that can get Mario Cristobal fired.
I don't think there's anything getting Mario Cristobal fired until they got some buyout relief on that.
Probably, but
He still got $70 million left on that puppy.
good lord, dude.
Big chunk of change.
Yeah. Well, it might not be 70. We've already talked about this. They did 80 over 10. Mm-hmm. That's thick, bro.
It'll be what, 60 at the end of this year because this is his 4th year.
Something like that, 50, something. Either way, that's a hefty buyout for a guy who they truly believed in. Like, that was supposed to be their savior. He's a Miami guy,
Yeah.
South Florida dude, loves Cuban coffee. It was supposed to be their dude. So
I could also see though, like this schedule, like we look at it from now here in May, and then when you get to the actual point of the games, like when you get into November and you're playing Duke, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse to close out, like those could very well be very, very good football teams. Like Georgia Tech, we already know they're on the up and coming of the trend meter, and then Duke, you know, you got a quarterback from Texas, Malik Murphy, that could turn into something like that, could continue to progress and turn into good things for them. And then Syracuse, like we don't exactly know what they're going to look like in the first year under Fran Brown, but like again, it's the final game of the season. By the final game of the season, Syracuse from week 1 to then week 12, that could be 2 very different football teams.
can we just stop for a moment and just give kudos to Manny Diaz, his agent? Because that dude spent like 3 years up at Penn State being a good defensive coordinator, and now he's got another ACC Power 5 job after just down in Miami. I mean, just all over the place, just boo-boo. So just wanted to give some kudos to some agents right there, as if they haven't been getting enough lately. I know it was a totally different topic, and I knew we were eventually going to get here. In fact, I think I told you guys about a year ago where eventually we're going to have Adam Schefter-esque sourcing where guys are just talking to agents and they don't have to do anything else. They're getting everything fed from the agent. We're there. We're at the point now where national correspondents are tagging NIL agencies as credit to the news just to get the NIL agent's name out there. And it's getting slimy. It started out slimy. It's getting real slimy now. So just a thought. And by the way, one of the media companies acting as trying to basically get into agency. So it's getting real muddy out here nowadays. But nonetheless,
welcome to the sport.
Yeah, welcome to the sport.
No doubt. Well, you brought up the quarterbacks, and so I think we should go ahead and hit on we can go ahead and do this one.
I was going to say we should go to the high pool calling for change because it kind of goes in line with this.
That works with me.
So did you see this interview with Josh Heupel about how he basically was asked what's a rule that you would like to, or a change that you would like to have made to college football? What do you think it was before I go into it?
Is it like an actual rule change or like a play change, or he wants to change something in recruiting?
It's more along the lines of recruiting.
Oh, it's one portal window.
No, he just wants the schedule to be fixed, and he thinks that a college football commissioner is the right person to do that.
Yeah, this is played. You know, I want the schedule fixed. Well, how do you want the schedule fixed, Josh? How's the commissioner going to get this figured out? By the way, the problem with the schedule is the 2 windows, first and foremost. But the other problem with the schedule is that football has to work around school. That's the whole thing. Like, why is the portal window in December? Well, classes end in December. Well, the season doesn't end until January. Well, that's fine. The season ends now, January 21st. But the spring semester, the winter semester, spring semester starts like January 7th at most universities. When did your spring semester start this year?
January 11th, I believe.
Right. The day of the national title this year. Like this whole idea that, we'll fix the schedule. Okay. Well, how? How do you want to fix the schedule? The easiest way is to, like I said, just give me one portal window. I've always been not necessarily against this whole idea of a college football commissioner, but you have one. We've gone through the whole rigmarole here about how the NCAA is basically just a front for college administrations and college administrators, okay? Mark Emmert and old Charlie Baker, they go stand up there and they take the lashings from everybody else. What do you think Roger Goodell does in the NFL? He stands there and takes the lashing for all 32 owners. It's the same thing Charlie Baker's doing right now. It's the same thing NCAA has been doing forever, okay? Everyone just blames them and points to them and says, they're idiots. That's their job. There's just a pincushion. They're just sitting there ready to take it off the face. That's their whole job.
I just don't think that a commissioner really, again, fixes a whole lot. I said
take it off the chin. Would that have made you not laugh?
Just keep going, man.
What doesn't make him laugh?
I don't know.
It's hard not to make him laugh.
Laughter's good for you, man.
It is. So, I mean, commissioners, like we've kind of heard this floated around a little bit by multiple people, and I get what Heupel is saying of commissioner to make these things happen because he knows that the NCAA, which they don't even care about the NCAA anyways because they're not governed by them in the state of Tennessee. So it's just, I mean, sure, go put a face and name to the college football, but I don't think it's going to immediately change much or anything. It's just going to create more complaints.
Yeah, there is a lot of irony coming from the school that was basically leave us alone. You're harassing us to a point, and now we need someone to take control. We need someone to
throw a lifeline.
The quote literally reads, we need someone to take at some point somebody has to grab the reins. You have to have one voice, somebody that's ... the commissioner.
Yeah.
So the irony in this statement from Heupel is
that's what we had. We had one pincushion answering for 130 some odd schools, and they blew it up. They blew it up and was like, we want someone else. Okay. I had a point I was about to make. You would be stunned going on the trail and talking to all these coaches and bumping into these guys and just having general football conversations. I sat next to a Power 5 football coach yesterday, defensive line coach, had no idea about House versus NCAA. Had no clue that there was a lawsuit that was about to change up his entire industry. So I sat there for like 10 minutes and educated him on the thing that's about to blow up the damn sport. And he was like, word? They're doing that? And I'm like, yeah, coach. He's like, so-and-so told me it's in the next 18 months. I said, bro, it's in court now. They're negotiating it now. And then I had to explain to him retributions and the fact that if you lose this case, it might be 3 to 4x payout versus what actually you're losing and what they're actually suing you for. And his eyes were like this. And I was like, buddy, it's great that you're recruiting, but your whole strategy on how you're recruiting is about to go up in the air. Like it's all about to be shot and exploded. So, you would be stunned at how just completely unaware. And I'm not talking about somebody that just coached for some slapping. Yeah. I'm talking about a dude, a guy, like a very, very big coach. And he was like, word? That's going on? I'm like, yes, coach. It's all about to go to hell.
To play devil's advocate, though, I mean, those guys are working like 70-hour weeks.
You ain't
to
lying.
a point that's like
You ain't
the
lying.
last thing you want to do is read an article about NCAA versus some Congress.
But you think it like by passing by someone, you would think eventually somewhere amongst the program or inside of a room, like you think it'd get mentioned, like, oh man, did you hear about this or something like that? You think eventually you would at least hear about it or like have some recollection of like, oh, I heard about it. I may not know anything about it, but
Yeah, I guess they're not talking about it in that office. But no, I mean, another thing that people are probably going to be wavering for eventually is the transfer portal. And something that you probably won't find in the transfer portal this year is elite talent. Not elite talent, but stars like we were predicting. But there is something you can find. Booty.
Oh, yeah. Lots of booty.
Not exotic booty, though. General booty.
Just general baseline booty.
General Booty, the quarterback for Oklahoma, has entered the transfer portal after being the backup for 2 years. So my question about this is, what are you going to do as a guy like that? Like, everyone's roster is basically set out. Like, if you're going to get more playing time somewhere, don't you think it's a little too late at this point to enter a transfer portal and find a new team?
Maybe sneaky booty.
Sneaky booty.
You know? Yeah, we can generally like really analyze General Booty right now, or we can just spin into top 3 quarterback names. Because General Booty, for a guy who's made a life, just a career path of backup quarterback at schools like, I don't know, Oklahoma, his name's probably apropos.
All-time name.
Yeah,
he's got to be the most known backup quarterback in all of college football.
for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the name General Booty because every time his name surfaces on social
Is he related
media,
to John David?
He is. He's the son or nephew, I think.
Got to be nephew or cousin or something. John David Booty played like 10 years ago. But, you know, somebody of the caliber of John David Booty is probably getting after it in terms of reproduction.
You made that comment, though, like you already have your top 3 names.
Well, yeah, I have 3.
What are your 3?
I have 3. Coming in at number 3 is indeed General Booty.
Okay.
And then number 2, just the idea of a quarterback being named Gunner. Come on. Gunner Stockton, like, give it to me. Load it up. Let's go.
John David Booty is his uncle.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so that's number 2. And then number 1, Jackson Dart.
Okay.
I mean, smoke them, throw them, toss them, do whatever, bro. Give me the dart.
That
You
is
know
a
what I
good
mean?
one.
So, well, top 3 QB names. Y'all got any?
Is that active QBs or?
I mean, they're all active right now, but it doesn't have to be.
I think Andrew Luck is a good one.
Andrew Luck's a pretty good one.
That is, yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a pretty solid one.
Steve Bartkowski always stuck out to
See,
me.
those
the
are
way it
just
rolls
cool
off the tongue.
names. They're not like specific to the quarterback position. Like Jackson Dart is specific to the quarterback position. General Booty at a position that historically gets ass. A great name. You know? Gunner Stockton. A tremendous
name.
name.
You honestly put me on the spot.
No, I put Google on the spot.
Colt McCoy.
Oh, yeah.
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy's a solid name right there.
Colt McCoy is a good one. Baker Mayfield's a good one.
Yeah. That's all right.
Ice cream brand. That's all I think about.
Tim Tebow.
Chat says Shane Falco. That's just a quality Hollywood name.
Yeah. It is literally a Hollywood name.
Yeah.
The replacements.
Nah, they did a good job on that one.
I see the one you have on your screen. Right? Reggie Ball didn't do a whole lot of it. Georgia fans know him of Reggie not balling.
He was kind of jacked though.
Reggie Ball?
Yeah, for a quarterback, dude.
Reggie Ball was the best player in those games for Georgia for like 4 years.
MVP for Georgia for sure. Sonny Six Killer at Washington.
Sonny Six.
That's
Killer?
an old timer.
Yeah, that's tough.
Dude.
Does he just go by Sonny Six, or is it like 6-Killer?
No, Six Killer. SIXKILLER.
Ooh, that might win.
That's honestly
tough.
number 1 in my opinion.
That might win. All right, I'm good on the making fun of names.
Well, we can keep it going with quarterbacks. So you proposed to talk about the post-spring Heisman odds. There's been some discussion about Carson Beck. He left the spring as the number 1 overall favorite to win the Heisman this coming year with the best odds. I believe it's like right at 750. Some sites have him and Quinn Ewers at the same odds, but a majority of them.
I'm sorry. I'm reading comments.
You're good, bro.
Anyways, but yeah, some sites have Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck tied together for the best odds, but outside of that, it's typically Carson Beck at the top. But we thought it'd be good to draft our favorite odds. Which odds are we taking? The best value in some of these odds. Who do we think we could climb up the board very quickly? And we can start with you, Christian. You can have. Are we doing this draft style? Like
I was about to say, you're going to give him first pick?
You can have
you want first pick?
It was your segment.
You can't flip a coin for 3 people.
I mean, I could try.
We can flip between you two. You two can flip for
You
it.
can have first pick, dude.
All right.
Welcome back. That's your present.
I mean, shit. Give me Carson Beck.
Carson Beck. All right.
So that's Carson Beck, what, plus 750?
Plus 750. He is the odds-on favorite at FanDuel right now.
You think it's just a safe pick? I feel like if I put my money in there, that's the safest
it's no different than when I got first pick on Create Your Own Team. I'm like, it's just, okay, it's far and away better Kirby Smart than any other. It's like the distance between 1 and 2 is greater than 2 and 5, where I'm about to go next. So go ahead.
Being smart with your money, I like it. For me, my first one off the board is Nico at plus 1,500.
Just going juice, huh?
Yeah, just going juice. And I think that, for plus 1,500 odds, I think that's great value there. I think in a Tennessee offense, we know how they treat the quarterback position. Going off of what he showed against Iowa, knowing that he's going to progress this spring, and by the time this fall rolls around, he's going to be even better than he was then. I like his chances of putting up some good numbers, and by the end of the year, I think nobody would be shocked to see Nico's name floating around the Heisman mix.
The key to that Tennessee offense is the ability for the quarterback to add in on the run game. And based off what we saw against Iowa, that seems to be a new option or a returned option for Tennessee. It was the real difference maker, in my opinion, from watching them with Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton, obviously on top of the drastic inaccuracies from Milton.
Yeah. For similar reasons, Jay, I'll go Jackson Dart at plus 1,500. I would take Nico, but I just trust someone who's got 3 more years of experience under their belt. And I think that Ole Miss roster is a little better. And they're going to play more high-key matchups. Like playing Georgia, playing Alabama. You win those games. Like your Heisman odds automatically skyrocket just because you win.
More likely to happen, Jackson Dart wins the Heisman or Jackson Dart's season is cut short by an injury midway through.
Cut short.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, he takes too many hits.
Way too many. Hard hits, too.
Yeah, especially with the schedule, too. Like, you're going to face some teams that are going to go out there to murder on their mind, and they're not going to be playing too nice, so you can't just be lollygagging around once you get past the sticks.
So that puts me back up.
Yeah, you're up.
Now, what are we doing here? Are we trying to hit the long shot, or are we trying to pick one of our 3 guys actually
I think
win?
You're
best
just
value.
picking best value, or like you did, like who you think is going to win. You can take that one as well.
Values for suckers. Give me Quinn Ewers. I'm trying to win.
That's a
so
good
1 and 2 off the board. Okay.
Yeah, y'all leaving them right there. I'll take Dylan Gabriel next round if y'all keep fucking around.
I'm going to go Jalen Milroe. He's also at plus 1,500 right now. You can vomit all you want. You can make all the noises.
He's a good player.
But I think, too, like if anything that we've learned in years past, like we saw this past year with Jaden Daniels, if you can be a dual threat quarterback, if you can put up big numbers in the rushing attack, and then if you can also throw the ball around the yard and put up some numbers there, if you can beef up that stat box as much as you possibly can, whether you're 9-3 or you're 12-0 at the end of the regular season, you're going to be in the Heisman mix. He's going to put up some big highlights more than likely. He's going to have the flair with him. Everybody's going to be watching Alabama this season because Kalen DeBoer's first season. So I think all the attention is in the right place, and if he takes another step forward this year with Alabama, I could see him somewhat being in that mix and maybe even taking it home.
Be very intriguing to see how he uses Milroe's legs. It got to a point where they were RPOing him quite a bit towards the end there under Tommy Rees, and the drop back passing game looked more of like 3 to 5 steps. Okay, we're going to try to take a deep shot. If the deep shot's not immediately open, let's try to check number 2. If we can't check number 2, let's immediately pull the ball down and take off. I thought, he got shit on a lot earlier in the year, but I thought Tommy Rees did a really, really good job of kind of redesigning that offense midway through the season. It'd be very interesting to see how DeBoer goes about it, because we've talked about on this channel, Jalen Milroe is not the ideal quarterback for a DeBoer-led system based off the previous decisions he's made at the quarterback position. Okay, so we'll see what he does with the ingredients he's been dealt, or if they just try to do their system and do what they do, make the quarterback a pocket passer, a distributor, right? And Milroe maybe doesn't have success. Ty Simpson will. I promise you right now. If Ty Simpson gets thrown in at any point this year for Alabama, he will be ready based off everything I've heard.
All right, I'm going to go Dylan Gabriel at plus 1,000 now. Just
trying to undercut me, right?
He was on my list, though. He's my number 3, and I think that the year he could have at Oregon, especially the fact that it's their first year in the Big Ten, it's going to be their first year without Bo Nix. They're kind of on the up and up. I think that if Oregon kind of plays everything right and they have a postseason run, he'll be a Heisman contender at least. So give me Dylan Gabriel.
Not even on the board. Give me. I'm just kidding.
Who are you going to say?
I was going to say, give me Caleb Downs. I really do, guys. I think there's a chance.
No, that's a great pick.
I mean, he's one of the best position players in all of football. And by the way, Ohio State's going to be a national title contention, and he's going to be far and away their best football player. The quarterback is going to be, I would venture to say, Will Howard's 3,000 yards passing, 500 yards rushing, puts up a bunch of touchdowns. But when we talk about Ohio State football this year, we're going to be talking about number 2. So I would say that, but I'm going to go somewhere else. You know what? Give me a 10-2, 4,200-yard passing season just out of nowhere from Jackson Arnold.
Ooh.
Okay.
Like, just Oklahoma has to score 1 billion points every Saturday to try to win type shit. And that's where I'm going.
You want to hear something crazy?
I don't believe it at all, but that's where I'm going.
You want to hear something crazy I did find on some of these odds?
You open mouth kissed a horse once?
No, I did not do that. Don't ever plan on doing that.
Your face shows me you've never seen Austin Powers. And
I have seen Austin Powers. That just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Julian Sayin has better odds to win the Heisman than Travis Hunter right now on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's that y'all fitting to be 6-6 talk right there.
For my final pick, though, I'm going to be betting on you have weapons to do it, and you've been in the system for multiple years, and you might have a good enough record to do so. I'm going with Brady Cook. This is going to be my long shot pick. Plus 3,000 odds right now. Luther Burden has all the potential in the world to be the best wide receiver in all of college football this year. Brady Cook, that offense was cooking last year with the Missouri Tigers, and I think, again, he's been in the system for multiple years. He's been able to build that chemistry with Luther Burden, and I think this year, I think they could potentially capitalize off of that. And again, if Missouri's sitting at the end of the season 10-2 after the SEC schedule they have to go through, I could very well see it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Garrett Nussmeier for mine. I know that LSU won the Heisman last year, but he's plus 1,800 odds. I think he's taken over a fairly good system. He's been in college football for, this is his 4th or 5th year now, so he's got a lot of experience. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman, but for plus 1,800, I'll take it.
In the system in general.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how well they did it reloading at wide receiver, but it's LSU. You just assume that they have weapons.
Yeah, I mean, they've had weapons since 2019, it seems like.
The state just produces way too many talented athletes to not be good at wide receiver.
Well, this Heisman winning quarterback is not on the odds right now because he's already won the award, but he had some interesting comments, which is very typical for this former player, about the demise of the NCAA. And so this comes from Johnny Manziel talking about how the NCAA is eventually going to crash out and burn. And he's rather joyous about it. In fact, he's been waiting on this moment for quite a while. And this was some of the comments he made on the Action Network's The Favorites podcast. He says, F the NCAA. They deserve everything they have coming to them. And then he follows that up with, it's only a matter of time before we see the demise of the NCAA forever, Manziel said. I'll be sitting here with a bucket of popcorn and my Heisman trophy right next to me, waiting for the day I see the alert.
Bro told us the sky is blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah, thanks.
But he
doesn't like them very much.
No, he doesn't.
Why would you, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they were up his ass for 2 years, basically, and he's Johnny Manziel. Like, he was
pretty loud about it, though. It wasn't like he was being particularly quiet about what he was doing at Texas.
I mean, no, but still.
So it's like one of those situations where, like, yeah, screw the NCAA because they kind of robbed us of some more Johnny Manziel moments, but it's also like, come on, buddy. Like, I mean, especially knowing now, like, what we know from his documentary, I mean, it's like, how could you not have gotten in trouble? How could someone not have caught you? But
by the way, I think he probably would have still gotten into some trouble nowadays.
You think?
I mean, I think Johnny would have found a way to be problematic.
Well, yeah. Oh, for sure. I don't know if necessarily it would have come from, where's all this money coming from, Johnny? It would have more been like, why are you courtside at a Lakers game when?
Well, because he's oil rich.
Yeah, of course.
That was the greatest thing about that. I bought that. Everyone bought that hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's got this, 5'11.5" kid from a metro Atlanta or a metro Texas area. He must have shitloads of money.
Psych.
No, kind
Psych,
of just
I
average
lied.
wealth.
Well, we decided to turn this into who else could feel this type of way about the NCAA? Like, who out here could we would it be justified for them to be out here saying F the NCAA? I can't wait to see it.
The NCAA just straight up ruined Jim Tressel. Just absolutely ruined him.
That's a good one.
So much so that he was like in a press box for the Indianapolis Colts for like 2 years, trying to just wash his image and stopped wearing sweater vests just to hide from cameras and
stop wearing sweater vests.
Bro has disappeared from the face of the earth. He can't even get a TV job. Like, what? Maybe he doesn't want one, but Come on.
Yeah, it is
over
funny.
some tattoos and Honda Accords. Y'all tripping.
It is funny that a guy like Jim Tressel is disgraced from the sport, and then like not even 10 years later, you had not even immediately after you had Urban Meyer come in.
Oh, I got another good one.
Who you got?
Oh, Jeremy Pruitt.
Oh, you're thinking more coaching, right? Yeah,
Well, still,
I'm
Jeremy
just
Pruitt's a
thinking
good
people
one.
in general, like obviously Reggie Bush, but Jeremy Pruitt. Like, how unlucky do you have to be to have your entire career shat upon by an investigation into some McDonald's bags, and then literally like 6 months later, the NCAA is like, oh, by the way, pay them all you want. Like, we don't give a shit. Like, we give up. Jeremy Pruitt, show cause order, 7 years. F off. You know?
Yeah.
Like, golly, dude's got to be pissed. He's coaching women's JV hoops.
Middle school,
man.
Middle school.
Yeah, middle school hoops, dude.
Bro, talk about a downfall.
Hate to see it. The one story that I forgot about is Des Bryant. I think he could definitely feel this way. He's the one that got in trouble for having a relationship with Deion Sanders, basically. Like,
Oh, I got another one.
there's talks about just him and Deion like working together, kind of working on some things together. Again, just having a relationship, and the NCAA docked him with a multiple game suspension.
Bro, Chase Young would have an NCAA record right now for sacks if he didn't buy his girlfriend a ticket to the Rose Bowl.
I forgot about that.
That's another one I forgot
That
about.
was a very short-lived scandal. That was like 2 weeks, and it was
Trying to fly my lady out. Y'all out here chapping ass. What the hell?
I remember that. I think Cam Newton's another guy that you could be like,
Nah, Cam Newton got off scot-free, dog. Cam Newton, I think Cam Newton's lore was made greater by that.
he was.
He went from, my God, look how fun this guy is to watch, to everybody hates him, wants to watch him lose. Like, that's how the end of
never
his
did.
Auburn career ended, and he never did. You're right. He was such a polarizing figure midway through that year. Where early on in the year, it was like, look at this great story. This kid from Blaine Community College absolutely shitting down the neck of Mississippi State, and then Dan Mullen snitches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is funny.
Good stuff. Good stuff on Dan
But no,
Mullen.
he definitely is someone who has a right to be mad at the NCAA for everything they put him through, especially that season. Have you seen the Shannon Sharp interview? Good watch.
I've seen clips of it.
It's 3 hours long, but it's a good watch.
He's
So.
out here watching 3 hours of Uncle Shay Shay. Yeah. That's crazy. I couldn't stare at that hat that long.
It wasn't 3 hours straight. I didn't watch it all the way
version.
through.
Oh, it was straight audio?
Yeah.
Put it on 2.5 speed?
There you go.
I can't do that.
I don't
You
do
know?
2.5.
I can't.
no.
I don't ever speed up audio.
Yeah. It's a new thing. Or it's not new, but it's a thing now where everybody wants to absorb as much content as they possibly can. What happens if I start talking like this? And then
gosh.
if you listen to that at 2x speed, it's like 4x speed. Whoa.
Wow.
It'll blow my head.
That's crazy.
If people listen to our podcast at that speed, at that moment, they're going to be like, what the heck is going on with my stereo system right now? That's funny. I
Rich
mean,
just had an aneurysm.
another one is an obvious one is Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
That's the
And
homer
AJ
pick.
Green.
AJ
Mark
Green.
Richt as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, he made a jab at him when he came back and spoke to the media this year
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
about how going back, if he could go back, he wouldn't tell on himself.
Just lying to not.
Yeah, he said lying to not. That's what he
Love
said.
that.
I think the obvious one is Donald De La Haye, also known as Destroying. He was
Yeah.
basically excommunicated from college football because he had a YouTube that was making money.
But I think it made him a martyr. Honestly,
It did, but like
I found Destroying because of that story.
But would you rather be
I was playing in college at the time, and I was like, you know what? This kicker who just screams and makes loud content, good for him. You know?
yeah, but would you rather
4 million subscribers later.
Yeah, but would you rather be a martyr and have a YouTube channel or like have a long NFL career? 'Cause
You think that was in store for him?
he has quality. He was quality enough. He had potential to do it.
I would.
Or would you not be mad that you could have had all of that and still been able to play college football?
Yeah, I don't think there's any path that Destroying would rather take than the one he's on right now, apart from the neck injury that he just sustained recently.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think the NCAA, he was on major news networks because of that.
Yeah.
If he's just some dude kicking field goals at UCF while doing
But he wouldn't
YouTube
be
stuff,
just he wouldn't be just some dude. He would also have the YouTube still. Now it did make him a martyr in that sense, but
I would adventure, and I don't know his true story. I don't know the arc of his success, but I would imagine there is a very strong peak in that chart the moment he got martyred by the NCAA.
No
For sure.
doubt about it.
So, anyways,
Well, speaking of players being paid and the NCAA kind of being a part of this, do you see this thing about people talking about how, revenue sharing and all this types of things and NIL essentially in general, that these players are being paid to play football, that it might force them to play in these bowl games and it might solve the issue of them not being able to opt out?
Yeah, so this is becoming this is a byproduct of the negotiations currently going on with House versus NCAA. They're trying to get this thing resolved before it ever goes into court because they dread losing in court because they've done nothing but lose in court. So part of this is what you're talking about is these pre-negotiated percentage of revenue splits given to these athletes will inevitably come with a contract. They will now become employees, or they will at least have similar protections and requirements that employees have. If you're going to get a percentage of the revenue split, then you need to be held to a certain standard. And what you're mentioning is them trying to get into stipulation into the wording of these contracts. Yes, your participation, barring any type of injury, will be required for your payment. Which, by the way, it could already be in. It could be in these NIL stipulations now if they really wanted to. If Georgia or Florida State last year wanted to say, hey, if you're opting out, you're not getting your January NIL check, I guarantee you they could do that if they wanted to.
Because they're not contractually bound to anything, right?
No, not really. It's not collectively bargained. So there's no one to protect the players right now. I was having this conversation with a coach yesterday. I was like, why are y'all bidding against each other? These players they're not bidding against you collectively. This is one player talking to 7 of you guys and watching you dipshits out here. All y'all are best friends. All y'all know each other. So if y'all are recruiting the same defensive tackle, why are one of y'all offering him $750,000 when the other of you guys are offering him $400,000? Why don't y'all collectively bargain against the Joker? Y'all are calling each other constantly anyways.
That's a good point.
It's a great point. The guy looked at me as if I had discovered the atom bomb. He was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, yeah, coach, what are y'all doing?
I mean, the only thing I can think is that the fear that someone's going to undercut it anyways and still just blow it out the roof.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. And then you cut that guy out of the circle and he's excommunicado. And you know what I'm saying? Like this works, but it could work both ways. It was just more of the idea of, hey, why would you ever not know what your buddy's bidding against for the, eBay item that y'all are bidding for?
Right.
You know what I mean? Not to make players items, but essentially.
Well, I thought it was interesting that this topic was brought up. And then also I read this article is the 10 problems that college football might face due to the expanded college football playoff. And I thought there were some interesting ones in here. One of the first ones being load management and opt-outs in these playoff games. I think that we've kind of touched on this a little bit. And I think it would have to be a very, very unique scenario for this to happen, in my opinion. It's hard for me to envision a playoff team and one of their top players opting out. I mean, if you're a bottom seed playing a top seed, I just don't know. I can't envision it. But apparently people are talking about it potentially happening.
I would see it more.
Saban basically alleged this to have happened in the SEC.
Yeah, I was going to say I could see this more in conference championship games, or like even big regular season rivalry games, where it's like, you know what? If I'm Georgia playing Texas and my ankle's bothering me, why would I care to start in this game when the likelihood of us playing them in the SEC championship and even in the playoff 2 months from now is more likely? So I'm going to sit out for this game. Yeah, that's what I could see happening. I don't know about playoff games being opted out of. Yeah,
conference championship games is the ones that they're really talking about. They said they mentioned in the article, not Ohio State, Michigan, not like these big rivalries, but when conference championship weekend rolls around, if Georgia's undefeated and whoever they're facing on the other side is also like 11-1, and they both feel like they're already going to get in regardless of what happens this weekend, then you very well could see it happening. This was one that I also thought was interesting.
Now, are we talking about the difference between like what NFL teams do when they already have their seeding locked up and then week 17 they're like, hey, the backups are going to play? Or are we talking about starting left tackle, future first round draft pick just says, hey, playoffs, I'm good. I'm getting ready for the NFL. Which one are you talking about?
I think just like not playing in the final game.
Like leading up to DMP coach's decision or DMP player's decision is the difference what I'm asking. Because I do think there is going to be some gamesmanship towards the end of seasons now where you might be vying for certain slots. You might be vying for certain matchups, stuff like that. And resting starters could very well play into that role.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very possible.
But man, if we ever get to a point where people are like, oh, conference championship game, I'm good. I'm just going to sit out.
And at that point, just do away with them. Just don't even play them.
Why are we even playing? Like, period. Why even play football? They just do.
This was one I also thought that was interesting. They got brought up in the article, and it's titled "From On Campus to Out of Town," and it's mentioning that some of these, because the first round of the college football playoff, they were going to be home games. Like these teams are going to be able to have a playoff game at their home stadium, their home city, everything like that. But some of these colleges, some of these college towns may not be built to host an environment like that. May not be built to host a venue like the college football playoff, and there could be some issues there, whether it be like finding hotel rooms or just like the overall mass amount of people that are entering the town.
Bro, just say it. Just call out Duke. Say Duke ain't got shit for a home game. Just call them out. Say what you mean, man. Say what you mean. Say it with your chest.
I was trying to find if they actually mention any teams where they think, but I can't exactly find it.
I can't really understand.
I'm looking at you, Tulane. No, I'm just kidding.
That one I don't really understand, because it's like a stadium can only sell so many tickets. Yeah, you're gonna have tailgaters and things such as that, but you have those for regular season games anyways. Like the Athens, Georgia has probably 200,000 people come into the city for a game day. The stadium only sits 97,000 max. So like the idea that we're not gonna have hotel rooms for the opposing team and things such as that, I don't really understand that.
So this article mentions Penn State. And it's because they're saying that their commencement, I guess, like their graduation commencement or late, like last year or years before, have kind of conflicted with some of the college football scheduling and potential like playoff games that might fall on the same day as a playoff game. And so they're saying for that reason, like a bunch of parents might have already booked some hotel rooms to see their kid graduate. Well, then you're talking about, now we have a playoff, because you don't know that you're hosting this playoff game until a week or two beforehand. And so there's not all this time in the world to go ahead and get that scheduled in, get that penciled in, and put it on the sheet for you. So there could be issues with that, just about, again, the school calendar for universities.
Oh, boo-hoo. Mama can't see son play. Wham, wham, wham.
Oh, that's how you feel?
No,
I'm a graduate, yeah. Jeez.
Feeling some type of
hardcore, man.
And then really the other big one that I would say from this is just overall problem scheduling it against the NFL, because college football doesn't want to compete against NFL, nor should anybody. But with this many games, this many conference championship games, etc., like you might run into some issues later on down the road of like trying to find a way where you're going to play these games and you don't have to go against the NFL.
That's rich people problems to me. Like, people aren't. We're going to have a couple million less viewers for our college football playoff game because we're going up against the NFL. Like, this is the bed you made. You have to lie on it. Now, you wanted to expand to 12 teams because you figured to bring in more revenue. Like, let's be honest, it wasn't because you wanted to increase the sanctity of the sport or make it more fair. Like, you wanted more revenue. So don't freak out when the choice you made is going to bring less revenue on Sundays because you have to have playoff games.
I can't understand why they don't coincide with the NFL scheduling anyways.
Yeah.
Like, why can't y'all figure out this is our date, this is y'all's? We're a free minor league system for y'all anyways. Why are you being combative towards us?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. We're supposed to be in this together, so much so that your lieutenant, your right hand man in the NFL is one of these people who's involved in the private equity firms that are trying to literally buy college football. So I don't understand why there's not some mutual agreement placed there. That doesn't make any sense to me.
You did mention college football games, and you put in the show sheet new EA college football. I hate calling it that. NCAA, the new NCAA video game. There was some more news from there. I'll let you go on this one because you're very adamant about this football game. You love any new news.
You're juiced.
I'm so excited for this game, dude. So basically, the latest development is that obviously Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit are the main play-by-play callers for this game.
Honestly, I think they missed out by not asking me to do it, but I was busy. Probably would have turned them down.
Here's the thing. So the game is now going to have multiple announcers, and the prestige of your announcer will depend on the game you're playing. So for those who are building like dynasties with Kennesaw State and Toledo, you're going to get not the Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler calling. You'll probably get like the C squad of ESPN. So maybe there is someday where you're calling the KSU Toledo game in an NCAA football game.
That's so disrespectful to the B and C team at ESPN. It's like, hey, we need you to come in and read cue cards for Tulane versus Kennesaw State.
We already make you go do the Thursday night college football games. Now we're going to make you do the B and C games.
Do you think Murray's in the game?
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
wait, call him and ask him.
It's probably going to be Murray. Murray's probably going to have to call these
C-rate
games. He's not going to answer this phone call.
You never know.
Zero chance Murray answers this
I give it
phone
3% chance.
He's going to be scared.
3% chance?
3%.
I'm giving it a 0% chance.
3.
You know what we could be hired to do, though, by the EA College Football game? What if we're the people that, like, after the game, we're going to go to the news desk now and we're going to break down the game and we just get to flame how bad someone played?
I'd do that for free.
You would imagine they have to have some type of AI system built in to like monitor Murray's voice and then do the read for him. Right? I told you. Zero chance he answers this phone call.
What do you think he's doing right now?
Probably playing golf on a simulator or something. I
don't know. Chris Fowler said that
rich people shit.
Chris Fowler said he spent like 170 hours in the recording studio for this football game, like just nonstop, different phrases, different names. Said that they even there's a call between him and Kirk Herbstreit where if you throw an interception in overtime on a 2-point conversion and the other team returns it for a 2-point, like an interception for 2, there's a call for that in overtime.
That's a 1-point play. That's a 1 point.
It's not worth 2?
I think it's worth 2.
Oh, that was worth 2.
Yeah, but basically they have a call for everything.
Oh, it's if it's a safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which will never happen, but...
One of my favorite, I don't know why the safety for a field goal block for a return made me think of this, but one of my favorite recruiting stories of all time is about Eric Berry. A buddy of mine who was in my brother's wedding was the quarterback for Starsville High School his sophomore year when they played Eric Berry's senior year at Creekside. Eric Berry scored a touchdown in all 7 ways that you can humanly possibly score a touchdown in football in one game.
The holy number?
He threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, pick 6, fumble return for a touchdown, punt return, and kick return in one football game. They won like 64-0. He was out by the third quarter.
In the third quarter, he did all of that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's why it's not why, but one of the reasons I compared Malachi Starks to Eric coming out of high school is like, if you just watch the tape, they're both like moonlighting as safeties, but they're really just like Reggie Bush playing quarterback, essentially, and in a triple option. It was really, really fun to watch Eric in high school.
That is a really cool story.
It's fun to watch him in the pros.
Dude, is he a Hall of Famer? He's been out for 5 years now. He's not been voted in, but cancer robbed that one.
Yeah, I think his career, like his story is Hall of Fame worthy, but I don't know if his career has the numbers because he missed like 2 or 3 seasons.
Unless I hate to call it this, but like a sympathy vote. Again, like his career got cut short, but you have to feel like he was on the trajectory to be a Hall of Fame player.
I wonder what Eric Berry's doing right now.
I don't know.
Call him and ask him.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. All right, speaking of getting right on that, we have another hour of talking. I know chat's been talking about Keon Coleman this, Keon Coleman that. We got some dog talk coming up right now.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What was that?
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to our second hour and our final hour of the week. I didn't even say it to start the show. Last show, best show. Let's knock it out. Also, speaking of knocking it out, give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. If you haven't already, head over to prizepicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. You get a 100% deposit match. What does that mean? You put up to $100, you will instantly get matched with $100 right there in your account. Boys, there was some news today. We'll call this the Nick Saban clause. The moment Nick Saban retired, I think we talked about it on this show. Just go ahead and give Kirby Smart the new, Richie Sexton or Jimmy Sexton contract that basically just gets ripped up every time Jimmy manages to finagle some raises for the second best coach in college football. It automatically means the best coach in college football gets his contract ripped up, and that's essentially what happened today. I would imagine this was in response to Sark getting about $12.5 million a year out there at Texas. Kirby now renamed the highest paid coach in college football at $13 million a year. Do you have the full contract details on this?
Yeah, I can read it off. The contract is good for a $1.75 million raise, an annual salary of $13 million per year with bonuses up to $1.5 million, the university announced.
So he can make almost 15.
Yeah.
If he wins a natty.
If he wins a natty. He does everything, checks all the boxes, $15 million.
That must be nice, man.
And now he's contracted in until 2033 because he got the 10-year extension following the 2021 national title. Now a 2-year extension on top of that, 2033. That's when this contract is.
I thought the contract was already through 2023 or 2033. They just ripped up the first 2 years of it and gave him the raise.
I think that's what it was.
That's the way I read it.
I believe so.
But either way, I think the purpose, because the contract was going to escalate to almost $15 million at the end of it, I think originally. And once Sark got his raise, Jimmy got on the phone with Josh Brooks and was like, "Hey, bud, that's a hit to your pocket as well, big dog."
Well, not really, because Josh Brooks also got a raise.
Hey, shout out Josh Brooks.
So it really wasn't a hit to his pocket because he got some money too.
Everybody get a bump.
What happens if more than one coach has a saving clause? Like, say Sark wins a natty next year, and then he goes like, "All right, I've earned this clause now." And then you can just have Kirby and Sark go back and forth for the rest of time, where each like.
I don't know if that's how that works.
But I mean, Sexton probably would be like, "You take the back seat for now until I get Mr. Kirby Smart off."
What's stopping that from happening though? Because I mean, Georgia's contract doesn't affect Texas.
I have no. You know what it is? Revenue sharing. Revenue sharing will cut into this eventually. You would imagine.
Yeah.
If our annual budget gets dinged by $20 million is what they're kind of projecting. If that's the case, then somebody's taking pay cuts. Maybe it's going to be the administrator first, and then the head coach second.
Maybe.
But yeah, some of these administrators and administrators' assistants out here in college athletics making $500,000 a year.
Boy, you think that college coaches are leaving the sport now? Wait till you start cutting their
pay.
Ooh.
But you would imagine that any type of revenue split maybe brings some calming of the waters on this poaching of the roster shit, because I genuinely do not believe it is the issues with paying young men money. I don't think that's the problem. The problem is constantly being strong-armed and constantly being negotiating with terrorists is what it feels like, right? We do not negotiate with terrorists. That's what it feels like. But you're all having to, because you're all getting held to your feet to the fire every 6 months, it feels like, with guys coming into your office saying, "Hey, so-and-so offered me this." Well, good luck. I think that kind of simmers down a little bit once revenue sharing comes around.
Kind of, but this is what me and Jay will talk about on Tuesday, that yeah, you can do revenue shares and the salaries for players can come out of teams' pockets, but what's stopping a team
Donor
saying
fatigue.
What?
Donor fatigue.
That's what I said.
Well, that's why I agree with that, but what's also stopping a team from being like, "Hey, we really, really want this 5-star safety." We can call them up and be like, "Hey, we'll offer you on top an extra $100,000 of NIL money."
That's the old bag dropping.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the old method, and that's fine. I don't think college coaches have a problem with that. Again, the problem is, hey, I'm getting $30,000 a month here. So-and-so's offering me $45,000 a month, and I'm just going to go. Like, that's the problem. I don't think that's going to stop. But once, and it'll be a little bit different. It'll be, we'll give you your revenue split, which is going to be about $150,000, maybe $200,000 a year. And on top of that, we're going to give you $30,000 a month in NIL or whatever. But this whole idea of being able to completely outprice the rest of your competition, I think that will cease or at least slow down because of donor fatigue. All these college football donors around here are tired of fitting the bill.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this yesterday with a friend dropping bags has been around for forever, so that's never going to go away. It's just
shout out to Creighton.
It's just shout out to Creighton. It's just more common knowledge now because it's more out in the open and we kind of know about it more. But I mean, it's been around for forever. So just because something else changes in college football where it makes it seem like it's not as reasonable to do that, it's not going to stop it from happening anymore.
Chad said, with advances in modern technology and science, there's no reason to believe Kirby Smart won't coach until he's 250.
Yeah, why
his
not?
high level income.
With my high level income,
I heard they cloned a goat. I mean, he didn't live, but I just think it's kind of cool that we're trying that kind of thing.
That's good.
What were we
stuff,
talking
man.
about?
I have no idea. I think we were talking about Kirby's extension.
Then we got talked into revenue sharing.
I mean, obviously, this is good news for the long term and longevity of the Georgia's football program. If nothing changes in college football, does he see the end of this contract?
I think he sees. I think if nothing changes, he sees.
Nothing changes.
He sees the end of it, and I think that is it.
But is he going to keep getting these extensions though with every raise?
Yeah, every time someone else gets a bump, he's getting a bump. They're going to rip it up and give it to him again.
Because I kind of felt like the first one was like he'll see the end of this one, and that's it.
I don't think the length of the contract, like I said, in this reporting, it doesn't sound like the length of the contract has changed. The terms of the contract has.
Well, you also have to think, like, he's never going to get to the last year of his contract because you can get counter-recruited from there. He's going to retire with 2 or 3 years left whenever that does happen. So he's just going to keep getting these extensions. And then one day he's going to be like, all right, I've had a good 15, 20-year career here at Georgia. I'm going to hang it up. Why
don't more NFL quarterbacks do stuff like this? Where, obviously Mahomes gets a raise every time someone else does, but why doesn't he just put it in his clause or in his contract where I'm a certain percentage of the cap, or I'm a certain, this X amount paid more than the next guy type shit? That's what I would do.
I guess it's because I know Mahomes did this, is like he restructures his contract to then go and help open up some money to get somebody else on the roster and things like that. It's one of the reasons why I would say. I
think it's also because like quarterbacks are more liability. Like Kirby Smart is always going to coach for the Georgia Bulldogs as long as there's a season. Like there's a possibility that Patrick Mahomes goes out and tears his ACL, comes back, he's never the same quarterback, and then you're getting hosed for $100 million. Now, obviously, you don't think that's going to happen.
So this just dropped like 30 minutes ago from Ross Dellinger. Per Yahoo Sports sources, new details on a college model that may cost power schools $300 million each over 10 years. Scholarship expansion and new roster limits, $17 to $22 million of rev share cap, $2.9 billion in damages, deadline of less than 40 days, implementation no sooner than fall of 2025. So I told you, within the calendar year, it's going to get blown up. So there we are. But the good news is with this House versus NCAA lawsuit and how they're going about bargaining this and figuring out this lawsuit together, sounds like the NCAA model will still hold. So we won't have any type of Super League, which has been my biggest concern. This whole idea that you're going to turn college football into a version of NFL football just on Saturdays has always set with me a little bit weird. I enjoy my traditions that come with the NCAA and college football as a whole. So sounds like we're still going to get, some type of ties between schools and football programs, and that's good news. However, it's going to cost a shitload of money in back pay. And that's the thing I think people forget. This lawsuit just ranked or sanctifies what happened between 2017 and 2021 when NIL first came out. That's all they're seeking retributions on. So if you're a player like me and your college football career wrapped up prior to 2017, you're just screwed. But if you're not, you're going to get some back pay on this. So that's pretty cool, but it's going to cost a shitload of money for these schools. So,
yeah, those parking tickets are about to get hella expensive.
Hella expensive. And by the way, some programs are already preparing for this. I saw an article the other day that our guy Jamie Goodman sent us. Texas A&M's already laid off several analysts on staff in preparations for this.
Wow.
Damn.
Texas A&M, big money, Now that might be just a reason to get rid of some shitty coaches, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think that
budget
was more
cuts.
I think it's
the hell out of here.
Yeah, budget cuts. You suck. But yeah,
what's up with Keon Coleman in these comments,
bro? Wild.
I guess I'm no longer with the university, so I'm going to speak my mind.
By the way.
Yeah,
I mean,
we opted out because Georgia lost to Michigan. And it's their fault.
So their thought process is, if Georgia doesn't lose, then we're in. We got kicked out because Georgia lost.
Keon Coleman, his whole logic behind this is because Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship, Alabama got the 4th spot, pushing both Georgia and Florida State out. Had Georgia won and handled business, like they said, Georgia's the number 1 team, Florida State's number 4 in the college football playoff, and they play in the game that matters.
So we didn't handle our business because you didn't handle yours?
Exactly.
I have the quote if you want me to read it.
Come on.
How many players we had drafted, 10 or 11, we're going to see who's going to come out better in the NFL. That's the only way you can tell. Of course, they want to play. They're playing in the Mad as Hell Bowl, Coleman said. They mad because they lost. What y'all mad because y'all lost? Y'all think you're supposed to get in because you're Georgia? If you would have won the SEC championship game, you would have found out who was the better between Florida State and Georgia. You would have played us in the Matter Bowl, the bowl that mattered. We're not going to play y'all in a bowl that don't matter. That's a waste of time.
I mean, let's be fair. That's kind of funny.
It is funny. And I don't know who's trying to give more fire quotes, Keon Coleman or Javon Baker. Have you heard some of the stuff Javon Baker
says he's already a top 10 NFL wide receiver.
Ain't no way I'm not a top 10 NFL receiver. And then at one point after getting drafted, he told the media, you better bring your popcorn. I make people in wheelchairs stand up. What a bar!
I mean, that's a Muhammad Ali type bar.
He was one of the players that I bought stock in coming into the NFL draft, like a sleeper pick. I think it's panning out so far on the front end,
Bro.
before we even get on the field.
McEachern High School, he's an absolute dog. You know what I mean? Shout out Powder Springs, Georgia.
Yeah, the wheelchair comment was insane. But I mean, it's just crazy how like this feud between Florida State and Georgia continues now all the way into freaking May. Like, people say bowl games don't matter, and now we're all the way into May and people are still talking about it.
Yeah, it is funny to see like how many Florida State fans are like Florida State fans and alumni, and I get it because I mean it was the ultimate snub, but it is funny to just hear them talking about like, oh, it doesn't matter, it didn't matter. Like, at some point you have to realize like a 60-point difference isn't going to happen if you have 15 guys play or not.
Well, you said Georgia players were clapping back at Keon.
Yeah, Kendall Milton quote tweeted the video of it and just basically said shoulda, woulda, coulda. So, I mean, there is some beef between the two
And
players
I think
here.
the funniest part about all this is, you know, they had all those opt-outs. The two highest drafted players were Georgia opt-outs.
Yeah.
Brock
Bowers and
Mary Smith. Two highest drafted players, and then right after that
The
was
three
Jared
highest,
Verse. And then
Three of the-
McConkey was right after that.
three of the four highest were Georgia players.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But
like,
two of them opted out was the point.
Yeah. I mean, Javon Bullard also commented back and said, yeah, you talking crazy. And then I saw today on TikTok, Nazir Stackhouse took a clip of the video and then it cuts to him on the screen with the score above his head, just giving a smirk. So classic. I mean, it's just, I think it's foolishness. Classic off-season, like, dang, we really have nothing else to look forward to now. Well, let's hyper-focus on these comments that Keon Coleman made about a bowl game.
I just also, the weird part for me, all of that for me was not only the words Norvell chose to use, because like none of the public comments from Norvell said anything other than this game matters. We're going to try hard. It's a football game. We care. And then we read that article, about a month ago, about how Norvell kind of regretted the whole entire happening of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just in terms of how he went about his business, where they get picked fifth, they don't make the college football playoff, and Norvell spends the next week trying to finish up his 2024 signing class. Meanwhile, his whole roster departs and kind of just, quit's a bad word, but finished their season.
moves on.
Moved on. They all moved on without any type of, idea or knowledge given to the coach that they were about to tap out.
Yeah. To me, it just kind of reads, to me, it honestly reads like Keon Coleman kind of wishes maybe he did play in that game and he wishes that his former university didn't get embarrassed the way they did in a bowl game.
That's not his university, dude.
It's not. I don't know if it reads like that. I think that's more Keon Coleman is just trying to argue that.
I think Keon Coleman was trying to give a quote, and Keon Coleman did exactly that.
Yeah. Keon Coleman was trying to stir the pot.
He did give us some words of wisdom, though. You got to shop
at Macy's?
bro. You got to shop not only at Macy's, but you got to shop at Macy's out of season. That was a gold tip right there.
Winter in the summer, summer in the
shop
winter.
for your winter clothes in the summer. Shop for your summer clothes in the winter.
I feel like that's
Half
pretty well
off.
known with like bathing suits. Like, get your bathing suits in the wintertime. Get those discounts.
Get your sweatshirts in the summer, dude.
Y'all out here with multiple bathing suits. I've kind of had the same ones for like the last 3 or 4 years.
I've got like 3 pairs. I just alternate them.
Maybe I need to up my game.
Maybe.
I mean, does anyone really care about swimsuit game?
I mean, I'm trying.
girls,
the last
maybe.
thing I'm trying to do is get noticed in a swimsuit. I'm just trying to be over here off to my own, doing my own thing.
You a shirt in the pool guy?
No. When I was real young, I was.
I was too.
And then
I
there
did,
just
yeah.
became a point where,
I did it because
I
I
love
was.
myself enough to take the shirt off.
I did it because I was tired of putting on sunscreen.
Yep, that's exactly why I did.
I was like, wait, I can just wear a shirt,
Yep.
jump in.
Boy, you guys are pasty.
Dude, I look like a
Burns
bag of
easy,
mayonnaise.
man.
I put that SPF ginger on nowadays, and I don't even get it. That SPF 50. Put that SPF 50 on today.
Ginger?
Just one
Called
quick-
SPF ginger. Is that what they call it?
That's what we call it in the house. I got a ginger wife. We call it SPF ginger.
Whoa.
What? I can't call my wife ginger. She is ginger. She's redheaded.
Dude, some people get bothered when you call them that.
For real?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't. Now, she doesn't like ginger jokes. Gingers don't have souls, that kind of dumb shit. But just identifying her as a ginger is not,
It's who you are, man.
Interesting.
not offensive.
Some people get offended by it.
Well, there were more interesting comments. This was not what Keon Coleman's was one of the bigger headlines, but another one it popped up on the timeline today. This one coming from a typical wild take artist himself, Colin Cowherd, saying that
Go ahead.
Carson Beck is not a top 5 quarterback. He's just Georgia good.
Now, did you go back and listen to the whole segment? Because you said it got worse.
So here's the whole segment. They're not talking about Colin Cowherd, or they're not talking about Carson Beck for the segment. The segment is teams that might take a quarterback in the first round of next year, and they're listing out and they're there's only really 2 teams that are going to take a quarterback next year that are guaranteed to do that. And Colin Cowherd's like, and there's going to be good prospects. You've got Shedeur Sanders. You've got that Riley Leonard kid from Notre Dame. Cam Ward's an interesting name. And then Nick Wright goes, there's someone we're forgetting. There's Quinn Ewers and one more. And then there's like 5 seconds where they keep talking about, the Titans might take a team. The Giants might take a quarterback. And then Nick Wright goes, Carson Beck. That's who I'm forgetting. And Colin Cowherd goes, he's not a top 5 quarterback. I think he's Georgia good.
The best part too about it is like Cowherd doesn't even say Riley Leonard. He goes, Notre Dame got some good quarterback out of the transfer portal. He's a good prospect. Like, he's like, clearly sounds like someone that doesn't watch college football and just has been reading the headlines.
Yeah, he's like, Cam Ward's a really interesting name.
Ward.
Like, Cam Ward's been playing football for 4 years, dude. If he was an NFL player, he'd be in the draft by now. So that's what made it worse. The fact that it was like, let me think of quarterbacks who are going to be taken in the first round. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Riley Leonard.
I'm trying to figure out what the fuck Georgia good means.
That's what we said. Like, what does that even mean?
That's kind of what I had this rant
I know what he
about.
was trying to do. He was trying to say he's a quarterback that's good because the talent around him.
Yeah,
is good.
but like,
what
why
does Georgia good mean?
That's what I'm saying. Why is Georgia the only team that happens with this?
Oh, Bama's quarterbacks got this for a little while.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa was
Coker and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like those guys weren't like talented quarterbacks.
No.
Like
they weren't 6'5", 230 pounds and throw missiles.
Like Tua Tagovailoa had Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy on his team, and he was listed as like, hey, this guy might be the first quarterback taken. I mean, even Joe Burrow, who was on arguably the best college football team ever. Like, there's a bunch of guys where it's like Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, all on good teams that never really get accused of being like, hey, they were elevated by the talent around them. There's no quarterback that's Ohio State good or Bama good. I don't understand why Georgia players are the only team, it seems like, that you can't be a good quarterback. And if you are, it's because, you're elevated the team around. Like Stetson Bennett's a perfect example of this. That entire 2022 season was, he's playing well, but that's because the talent around him's so good. Or they won the Natty because they had the great defense. Like, I don't understand why Georgia's the only team that has to deal with this.
I think it would have been QB3 taking this draft if they would have just watched. If they would have been forced to watch his tape this cycle.
Who?
Carson's. If they would have been forced to watch Carson's tape this cycle as an NFL media body, they'd have been like, my God, it's an NFL guy.
Jordan Reed on ESPN today wrote, because he was doing a 2025 NFL mock draft.
Jordan's a friend of the show. Jordan watches a shit ton of football, and Jordan also played quarterback. So whatever you're about to say, that motherfucker knows his shit.
So he had Carson Beck going number 1 overall, and he said, when I thought he was going to declare this year, he was my QB4, and he was trending into becoming a top 50 overall prospect in this year's NFL draft class.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I don't understand like why Georgia is one of these few teams where if you have a player at the quarterback position that's talented, it's automatically simply because they're elevated by the team around them. When there's plenty of other teams that elevate quarterback play and quarterbacks still get credit for it. Not to take away from the other guys, but
I think it's just because national people, like the outsiders from Georgia, like they haven't really seen it since Matthew Stafford. Like they haven't seen one of these quarterbacks come out of Georgia since Matthew Stafford. It's been Aaron Murray, great college quarterback. It's been Jake Fromm, great college quarterback. It's been Stetson Bennett,
good college quarterback. Let's not give him great or elite.
Sorry, good college quarterback. Stetson Bennett, great college quarterback, NFL prospect, that type of thing. And so now it's like Carson Beck is his first one where it's like, this could be the guy. But people who aren't familiar with or really haven't watched Carson Beck, which it sounds like Colin Cowherd definitely has not, they're not going to label him as that.
I agree.
I think this is all solved by 2 things. If Carson were a former 5-star, this doesn't happen. And if he looked and was marketable like most pretty boy quarterbacks are. And Carson, first of all, Carson's not interested in any of that. Very introverted. He just wants to play football. What's up?
No, I mean, go ahead.
Where are you going?
I was just like, are you saying he's like ugly? Or?
No, I'm not saying he's ugly. I'm saying he's not going to be on the cover of GQ though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I see what you're saying.
He doesn't care to be this.
I see what you're doing now.
He's not going to do the mesh, like nips out shoot that Caleb Williams did last year. Like this isn't one of these guys. Give me that one. I need it like I need air. Give me that thing. Come on.
I know. I wish we almost had the others with it now, too.
Oh, I know. The other ones were even better than this one we're about to show the audience whenever we get to. Oh, my God.
The yellow rubber, like crop top rain jacket, I believe it was.
That was like a monk that just got out of the sweat sauna and needed a towel to dry his face off.
He does, dude. But he's got his shoes on.
That's weird.
Shoes in the sauna is crazy.
Maybe he's a germaphobe, doesn't want to get sweat on his feet.
Maybe.
Yeah, but you're getting sweat in your shoes if you're doing that.
Anyways.
The other one we'd probably get demonetized for because he's like a his nipples are out.
Yeah, that's probably true. But anyways, I think this discussion would be different if Carson was a little bit. I said the same reason I don't think he's going to be on the cover of NCAA.
If you have more personality.
Yeah.
Huh?
If you have more personality or like flash around him, you're saying.
Yeah. Or just general media hype. Like the guy doesn't get any of it. You know, like he's getting all the preseason Heisman favorite. He's getting, you know, real NFL draft analysts marking him number one. And then dipshits like Colin Cowherd that don't watch college football look at him and go, he's just Georgia good. I don't think this happens to, you know, 5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, this narrative will very quickly change too, like just a few weeks probably into the season, because when you are labeled as the potential number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft in the coming year, like you're going to continue to be put in front of people. You're going to continue to be in the headlines. You're going to be in front of the common college football fan or common football fan, and they're going to become more familiar with their games. So like all of the highlights and whereabouts of Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams or whoever else last year, like now insert Shedeur Sanders, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, where now like those are going to be the big names everybody's talking about, and people are going to be more familiar with like, oh, that's the type of NFL prospect that he is.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that Colin Cowherd kind of exposed himself as someone who outed himself as someone who hasn't really paid attention to college football last season, and is just kind of spewing takes. Like to say like, oh, Riley Leonard, Cam Ward are the 2 very interesting guys.
Notre Dame guy.
The Notre Dame guy. Didn't even give him his name.
Got a pretty good transfer in.
Yeah, didn't even give the name, and it's like, oh, those are the guys to watch out for, and then say, oh, Carson Beck, just dust him off. Like, you clearly don't watch the sport as much as you should for the platform you have. But
should we take a victory lap?
Let's take a victory lap.
On what?
All right, I'm gonna take a victory lap. About 2 months ago, came on here. I was like, spring portal window. Dude, that thing finna suck.
There's some general booty in it.
Yeah, that thing finna be some general ass out here in the transfer portal market. And the reason being, and I said, you know, good teams tamper in October. Good teams are out here tampering in September. Good teams are trying to get you into that portal and get you onto their football team in December. They're not going to wait around for you to maybe lose a position job in February. That's just not how this works. You have to get guys in as early as possible. You have to do your tampering during the season. And I also was calling around to college football coaches like I always do at this time of the year. And so just asking, like, what are y'all hearing? What are y'all thinking? And every college football coach I talked to in the Power 5 was far and away more concerned with how do I keep my current roster than they were with how do I go poach somebody else's roster. This was far more about retention than it was additions this spring, and it was all written right there for you. But somebody heard something that was like, this fitting to be the craziest thing ever we've ever seen in college football. I just never really bought it, and that's exactly how it turned out. It was just mid.
What do you think caused that kind of like, hey,
panic?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how, and we're talking about Josh, obviously. Josh Payton's the biggest name in college, you know, football content creation. Okay. And a lot of people, you guys included, listen to him. And when he goes out and says, you know, and words it the way that he did in terms of this is going to be drastic. This is going to be, you know, sport changing. This is going to be one of the craziest things you've ever seen. Nothing ever like it. I think what he probably had heard was a couple of coaches really worried about their room, or maybe a couple of coaches that felt like they could do some damage out here because they got flooded with more NIL money. I don't know what he heard, but to me, it sounded like, and it must be a generalization of something that he heard from one party. Maybe. It's the only way you can be that wrong.
My theory is that when the Caden Proctor news hit, there were probably some sprinklings and inklings like, hey, you know, Caden Proctor's not the only one who's in this situation. There's also some high profile transfers that have already found new schools that might be hitting the portal again, just because yada, 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 checks bounce, they're unhappy, yada, yada, stuff like that. And I think that kind of put everyone into a panic. It's why you saw like Ohio State come out and be like, Caleb Downs is excited. The NIL team, like Caleb Downs is excited to be with us.
There was a time about midway through spring practice where really big powerhouse programs were out here struggling for money. We talked about it with Georgia. At one point, Georgia's out here doing a recruiting booster dinner just to drum up some cash to, you would presume to retain their roster. Ohio State had some concerns where, like you said, they're out here. The NIL company's having to tweet out so-and-so still under contract. Like USC had a moment like this where is Barry Alexander's check going to bounce? What's happening here? Those kind of things I think were on the general surface, but it was never going to be, oh my God, holy shit, look at the spring portal window. It's just SEC teams couldn't even poach off one another. Big Ten teams couldn't poach off one another. It was just there was not enough factors there for anyone to ever say that this was going to be just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest news out of Georgia was the news that ended up not being news. There was maybe Sam Mpimba might hit the portal because he's trolling on Instagram, and then Kristen Miller enters the portal and then immediately says he's coming back to Georgia. So, like, the two biggest things that could have happened at Georgia ended up. And then
Jaden Rashada enters the portal, 7 days after it had opened, and within 40 minutes of Jaden Rashada's in the portal. Georgia, the favorite to land Jaden Rashada. An official visit later, Georgia has indeed landed Jaden Rashada.
And you can't even say that was surprising because, I mean, Kirby Smart has been telling you since last year, since they lost Dylan Raiola, that we're going to get a fourth quarterback.
I didn't think it was going to be that big of a name.
Yeah. What was that the biggest? I guess that was the biggest headline of the spring transfer portal window.
McLean, maybe, if you want to go that way. I mean, UCF
but that's
transferred
that's
USF
more for
guy.
A different reason,
Yeah, that's more from just general namesake, and it's Dion. But Dion was probably the biggest story during this portal window, just what's happened in the last couple of days. I'm sure y'all talked about that on Tuesday.
We did.
We talked about we did hit on that quite a bit. Of course we did.
So there's that. I already did my trail notes. The spring portal window was dry. I think that's really, really good for Georgia to maintain their roster. They feel as if they have a top 2 roster in the sport. And top 2 rosters in college football right now are not cheap. Big ups to the University of Georgia coaching staff for keeping all those guys on the roster, but also big ups to the boosters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all around a win. And I'm wondering if, last year the big thing was Barry Alexander going to USC, but outside of that, really wasn't a whole lot of much going on. And I think that Barry Alexander leaving Georgia was probably the biggest headline of the entire spring portal last year. So, but I think maybe people kind of remembered that and they're like, oh, well, things got kind of crazy last year with the spring transfer portal because it was day of the G-Day game, enters the portal. Oh my gosh, we didn't see this coming. Whereas I think this is really the norm of it. And this is it's going to continue to be.
Do you think it starts to get better once the revenue split and things such as that come? We're going to see less
in terms of movement.
Yeah.
I mean, God, I would hope so because even a program like Georgia, I saw a stat yesterday. The 2022 signing class, 48% of them have transferred.
Yeah, it's already transferred out,
and that's at Georgia. Imagine numbers are considerably higher elsewhere.
So my question, I guess, about the winter portal, because it's the spring portal where SEC players, you can't transfer to other SEC schools and you got to sit out a whole year and all this stuff. But you can in the winter with revenue sharing, because you're under the same umbrella that everybody else is in the SEC. Do you think that maybe limits that of I'm at Georgia, I'm going to go now transfer to Alabama because I want this or that or whatnot. Now, you still probably get the scenarios of Trevor Etienne, I want to go play for a winning football team. I want to go be in a better position. I want to go start somewhere. Those sorts of things. But all this other SEC going to SEC schools, do you think that slows down maybe because of that?
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to leave the era of college football now where additions are made via the transfer portal from within your own conference, right? Teams identifying a need and then going and seeking that need. And then oftentimes nowadays paying for that need once they get there. Once revenue splits come in, I don't think that changes this, right? And we talked about it earlier in the show. When players are making $150,000 to $200,000 in base salary, because that's what it will be base salary. Nowadays, at that point, I don't have to call my boosters for $1.8 million a month. Almost $2 million a month, which is what they're asking for nowadays in terms of cash payroll. It costs about $20 million to have a top 5 roster in the sport right now. That's been well reported. That $20 million coming from boosters will probably go back down to about maybe $4 or $5 million, where it's considerably less, right? But that $4 or $5 million now will go to bag dropping to 5 stars and bag dropping to additions that must be had, and things like that will return to I would imagine, we'll return to the old method of the haves and the have-nots and everybody else playing, behind the curtains.
So could we see an era of college football where your stars are making even more money than they were in the NIL era? Because you have to think, like, you're going to get like, say a quarterback gets a revenue split and he gets, I'm spitballing here, $1 million a year. But then on top of that, to entice a player to stay and things such as that, teams also say, like, hey, we need to throw an extra $250,000 at him in NIL money just from ours.
So I would imagine that there has to be somebody in this House versus NCAA lawsuit. There has to be somebody there with the foresight of avoiding this moving forward, right? Where pay for play is no longer going to be allowed, right? If we're going to do NIL, it's going to have to go through a governing body or a registered body. You have to tell people where you're getting the money, how you're getting the money, what you're getting it for. Which I've heard something like this is coming very, very soon. Basically, where if you make more than $600 with a certain NIL deal, you have to report it to your university. But I don't know if that has anything to do with pay for play. Like if Johnny the Booster and the NIL Collective Company wants to pay me $20,000 a month in my bank account untaxed, like, do I have to report that to you? Or is it only real NIL deals that I have to report to? I don't know. That's the thing. We're in such an era where so many people in discussion points with, hell, I don't know, Ricky. It's just it's tough.
That's the way it goes.
It's tough to forecast and gauge because
Way she goes.
Because there's just so many things of, like, we think this is happening, this is going to come. We don't know exactly when it's going to get here. We have an idea of when it's going to get here. But just like NIL, like, when we envisioned what NIL was going to be, and then it was released and it was nothing like what we thought it was going to be. I mean, this could very well be that as well. Like, once it gets here, it could end up being something totally different than what we expected. Then we're having the same conversations that we are today, just under a different umbrella.
Yep. Nothing important.
No, I was just, it was one of those requests of, hey, I'd like to see such and such requires like 4 hours of work. One of those things. I love content suggestions from the audience as long as they're doable.
What was the suggestion? Like that when the
they're all the time. I get them all the time. Just, hey, I want to see such and such. Like, okay, you want to watch the 2017 Georgia Tech versus Georgia game, but I don't know if anybody else does.
We had a Nebraska fan asking to watch their spring game for Raiola.
That's the exact example I was trying to avoid.
I'm just saying that was one.
That guy, love you, not happening.
Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Love to see that.
If I had time, I would do it, but. We got to first look at what Brock Bowers and Mims look like. Did you see the pictures?
I bet the poster of Brock's already hanging up in your bedroom.
Chill. It's because I'm a Raiders fan.
Put that one up.
Yeah, that's why.
But dude,
putting up the Brock photo.
Honestly,
89. What do you think?
Ugly, hideous.
It's not
hideous,
a great number.
dude. Even
he's paying his respects to Charlie Warner.
I was about to say, who's the greatest 89 ever?
I don't know. Go ahead and Google that. But I mean, like 19 was a bad enough number to get behind, but like 89 is just, oof. It's not even 88.
I will say, he does look good in a Raiders uniform.
Ditka.
Mike Ditka,
Mike Ditka. Some guy named Dave Robinson.
Shout out to the UGA editing team though, because those photos,
those things were clean.
They're like they did the background and everything too. Like it's at the Raiders field.
I don't know much.
Steve Smith.
Oh, I knew. I was thinking there's wide receivers. There's got to be wide receivers that were good, but I don't know much about the editing world. But I do know that jersey swaps one of the more difficult things to pull off.
When did Amari Cooper wear 89?
With the Browns, maybe
for the Raiders.
He wore them for the Raiders.
I forgot he was with the Raiders.
I didn't.
I'm sure you didn't.
I think it was 89 for the Raiders and 19 for the Cowboys.
This is what Marius's picture looked like. Bam.
He's wearing 71.
Yeah.
Tough. Not a bad number. What was he in high school or in college? 65 at Georgia. He looked clean in 65.
Which NFL uniform would you have wanted to rep? Just based off colorway.
I can't wear yellow, but the Pittsburgh Steelers uni's kind of dope.
You like those?
I do. The Falcons, anything black and red's always clean.
Falcons new ones kind of suck.
But
the new ones don't. I don't like them with the silver face mask and shit. I don't like that.
New ones suck.
The Bronco helmet's filthy. I I like the 49er look, but give me them powder blues, baby. Give me them powder blues out there with the Chargers.
I was about to say, I like the Chargers uniforms, honestly.
Yeah,
I think those are really clean. I like
the Giants alternates where they have the red outlines and the dark blue helmets that say Giants on them. Those are the best uniforms in the NFL, I think.
Really? Interesting.
My opinion.
They almost look like the Braves Sunday Reds back in the day. That real bright red.
Yeah.
They even wear Sunday red anymore?
Every now and then they'll wear the red, but not too often. It's more so they do the Nike City Connect jerseys on Friday nights. They wear the dark navy blues on the road.
Was that Fanatics that screwed that up?
Yeah, the jerseys in general are
We
bad.
skipped it in the national hour, but I want to talk about it here. The Marvin Harrison holdout in his NFLPA.
yeah.
You know that's about Fanatics, right?
It's
I don't. What?
He signed with the NFLPA, but the NFLPA, I guess, membership requires you to sign off on your likeness with Fanatics. And apparently there was a misunderstanding or a negotiation that went south between Marvin Harrison Jr.'s camp and Fanatics during his time at Ohio State. And he's basically given the middle finger up to this Michael Rubin guy, who is probably going to be the richest man in the world within 2 or 3 years. He just gave up stake with the Philadelphia 76ers so he could go basically buy one of these sports leagues by himself. So crazy. But anyways, that's
if you
kind of
want
what's going on with Marvin.
If you want a Marvin Harrison jersey, just go to DH Gate.
Get you one over there.
Not to advertise like that, but
I wonder if it'll let you though customize the jersey on Fanatics.
it will.
They might block that though. That's what I'm saying. If there's not any of any of the agreements between the two parties, it may block it. But yeah. Also, the cream Braves jerseys. I was a big fan of those as well.
Oh yeah, I got a Deion Sanders cream Braves jersey.
Ooh,
shit's clean.
I bet so.
Don't ask me to find it. Somewhere buried in the closet.
Understandable. But, kind of talking about Brock Bowers and Mary Smith being in the NFL, I thought it would be a good time because we did the whole thing on Monday where Brooks riffed the entire 2025 Georgia NFL draft class, talking about how many potential draft picks there could be this next year. But I saw this article today. Interesting name plugged into this one for Georgia, but it was talking about college football players who could improve their draft stock the most. This article believed it was Malachi Starks who could improve his draft stock the most. Most people are kind of already saying he's going to be a top
from 12 to 10.
That's what I was about to say. You're going to go from 14 or whatever it is to 10 or inside the top 10. I don't know. But yeah, Malachi Starks, I guess, could improve his draft stock.
I'm sitting here trying to think where exactly Malachi Starks could improve his game.
Well, that was the funny thing is that
what area?
More interceptions
under his
they don't throw at him.
Under his player profile for them, it literally just said Malachi Starks is one of the best defensive players in college football already, but another season might be enough to, increase his draft stock even more, I guess.
He's in one of those awkward positions where you're not going to stick out to the casual fan because he's not like a Sean Taylor like headhunter, and he's not like a loudmouth Jalen Ramsey to where he doesn't draw attention to himself. Like if you ask a casual fan, like who's Malachi Starks, they're not going to know. Now everyone who knows football and understands football knows he's one of, if not the best safety in college football, but doesn't draw attention. He's like Carson Beck in that matter.
Yeah, in the sense that he doesn't seek.
Yeah,
but he is on a Powerade commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Beats, wasn't he? Yeah. He was part of the Beats commercial they did last year.
30 of them on the Beats commercials.
But I
think Talia Tugavaloa even got on the Beats commercials.
Good for him. Good for him. But my question is, which Georgia players do you guys think could improve their draft stock the most? And it doesn't have to be just this next year's draft class. It could be someone that's still 2 years away and is going to get a really good crack at it. Who could really emerge their name onto the scene where they're starting getting respect from NFL draft buzz, but just collectively on the roster, who could it be?
Dom Lovett had one of these kind of arcs. It's like Missouri. Ooh, what happened at Georgia last year? Wham! I think he could have one of those kind of real sharp peaks this year. I really do believe 800 yards, north of 800 yards is not out of the realm for Dominic Lovett this fall. So I'm going to go with Dom shooting up boards.
I think any wide receiver that's draft eligible this year can do this. I mean, hell, if Arian Smith comes out and has a 10-catch, 350-yard season and gets 5 touchdowns, his draft stock is going to shoot through the roof.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I feel like they're kind of steering away from these just really speedy wide receiver guys. It's kind of tough to say. I mean,
Xavier Worthy just went in the first round.
Xavier Worthy also had 900 yards receiving this year.
Yeah, but
almost 1,000.
May have been 1,000.
He was all Big 12 as a sophomore.
So A little bit different, but I get your point of saying like he's got some traits that the NFL might like. If he puts on a really good closing season this year, then it could be good enough. I think, Dylan Bell going with the wide receiver group, it's tough because like some people already really love Dylan Bell and some people already want to put him in like the second round, first round realm, even maybe as like this X factor guy. But I think that you have to solidify these things. Like it's one thing to sit here right now and say Dylan Bell is going to be one of these top draft picks in 2025, but like you have to also go throughout the season. You have to put up those numbers and you have to look like one of these draft picks that people want to take in the first or second round. And you have to actually play the part of what people are saying you are. So last year we got it in bits and pieces. Like we got spurts of Dylan Bell being great. This season we need like season long greatness from Dylan Bell to really solidify that.
This one's kind of an obvious answer, but I mean, Carson Beck, I don't think he can improve his draft stock much, but he can solidify it.
Yeah.
Like if you go out and throw for 4,000 yards this year and you're a Heisman contender, I think it's safe to say you've locked up the number one spot, or at least you're the first quarterback taken off the board, depending on what team needs are.
Ernest Green's going to have to play his way into an improved draft stock, because the physical limitations.
Wasn't he in your first round mock draft that you read the other night?
There was a mock draft that had Ernest Green, Malachi Starks.
Scouting the helmet, bro. That is scouting the helmet right there. I'm telling you right now, I love Ernest's tape. I love Ernest as a football player. He's 6'3.5". He's got not criminally, he's got shorter arms than 99% of first round tackles. I highly doubt Ernest plays his way into the first round. Can he play his way into the middle of the second because he's so damn good? Yes. But that is a height, weight, speed ceiling position in the NFL. And there are just not a lot of first round draft picks at tackle that look like Ernest.
No, I agree with that.
It wasn't my mock draft.
Yeah, I'm cooking that dude, whoever that was. Or lady. Even female? Woman? What are you supposed to say there? What's politically correct?
I think all of those were great.
That was good. Good job.
I think all those were great.
Good job, Brooks.
But I mean, even we had some questions too when we were reading off. Like Ernest Green may not be the offensive lineman from Georgia that I'd be projecting in the first round. I think on defensively, Samal Mondon. I think this year is the whole reason why he came back. I mean, his stock this last year probably would have been like third round draft pick. This year, a great season. I think between him and CJ Allen, they could both shine. They could both draw attention to one another, and they both are in store for great seasons. And another great season from him, multiple year starter at the University of Georgia at the linebacker position. Like you're going to see your draft stock climb if you have another great year, if you stay clean, if you stay healthy, if you do all that good stuff.
I think that timeline completely changes if he doesn't have that foot injury.
Yeah.
If he's healthy going through the NFL draft process, I think Smiles probably a second round draft pick this year. Who's the first linebacker off the board this year?
I don't think there was a linebacker taken in the first round.
It wasn't in the first round. I think it was midway through the second somebody came off the board. But either way, I think Smiles got an opportunity to be a top 60 pick this year.
I think Dan Jackson is one of these guys who might not necessarily do it in the season, but if he goes and competes in the combine and gets an invite, I think he's someone where the teams are going to look at him and go like, wait a minute, this guy is athletic. Like,
I think the NFL is well aware. The one thing people, and they should know this by now, is that like most of the general scouting of Georgia's roster happens during the season at practice when college coaches NFL scouts come through the area and look at them and see them actually practice at Georgia. And that's how they kind of, initially set their boards and how they and what they like. And obviously Georgia players get vaulted up those boards pretty quickly.
Which player do you think is at the most risk of hurting their draft?
Xavier Truss. Xavier Truss could go from a third to fifth round draft pick in this year's draft to being beat out by Monroe Freeling. Like that could legitimately happen. I'm not saying it's gonna. I'm saying it could happen.
Right.
And if that happens, you go from a 3-year starter, you start like 40 games in a row, basically did Xavier, and you go from that to getting beat out by a redshirt freshman to now, do we draft you? You spent a year not having good tape or not having hardly any tape at all. And again, not saying this could happen, but and we talked about this when he elected to come back. You have opened yourself up for this possibility. And Kirby talked about it during, the spring practice media availabilities about how they have never, in his time there, they have never gone a year where a young guy didn't beat out an old guy. And he said, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the offensive line room. I'm just not saying it's not going to happen. Where a really, really talented, hungry football player beats out an older guy. That just because you have experience, does that mean you're good, or does that mean you just have experience? So yeah, Xavier could go from like I said, this class, he probably would have been somewhere between a third and fifth round draft pick to, oh crap, now we got beat out by somebody who is supremely talented to Xavier. Monroe has been given things at the tackle position by the Lord that Xavier just doesn't have. Most notably being length and athleticism. He's big and tall and long, but he's not Monroe Freeling. So we'll see. But that one, he could just play all 15 games though, and increase his draft stock just as much.
How bad does Carson Beck have to be to fall out of the first round? Because it feels like
a hard question to answer.
I think he's got to turn the ball over at a high rate to do that.
Which he's not going to do.
No, he's not going to do. So I don't even know how we answer this question. It just maybe suffer a knee injury that nobody knows about and he looks like a statue all year, right? That's very plausible.
Yeah.
If he suffers a foot injury that nobody knows about until December or January, and we don't find out he's playing hurt, then he could be limited mobility wise.
My final name that I'd give is Trevor Etienne. I think that, he went from being a second string running back at Florida to now you're going to play behind an even better offensive line on a better overall team. You're going to be the highlight, the focal point of that running back room, a starter. Like he mentioned, you want to come play star at a place that wins. So he's going to be in the limelight a whole lot more than he was at Florida. And if he does anything like he showed at the spring game, if he brings that type of juice and if he brings that type of spark, I don't think his numbers necessarily have to be like phenomenal, like a plus 1,000 yard rush or anything like that. I think if he just plays really, really well, I think he could help his stock a good bit as well.
Chad asked, chances Michael goes top 5 or even number 1. I think top 5 is plausible, being the best defensive end probably available based off what it looks like right now. We'll obviously have a much larger sample size come at the end of the college football season, but strong chances he's in the top 5. Top number 1's a little bit.
Jordan Reed had Carson Beck 1 and Michael number 2.
And then Sarge probably top 10.
I've seen mock drafts where Michael's number 1 and Carson's number 2.
Yeah.
Like it's all about team
positional need.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like it's basically banking on, do the Panthers suck again and do they keep Bryce Young as their quarterback? And if so, they're probably going to take a generational edge rusher.
Probably
Cue
so.
Michael Williams.
Would you like to see if you go 2 for 3?
Yeah, I've got a player of the day for you.
Oh, Lord.
This one I'm not as confident in.
Oh, come on, man. You can't start with that.
You're not hot?
No, it's good tape, but I don't know if it's mid. No, don't call him mid. All right, so this is Tristan Norman. He is a 3-star wide receiver.
Oh God.
You good, man?
Joints hurting?
Dude, I've been on my feet all day. In some not very comfortable shoes.
Well, that's what happens, dude. Pretty hurts. He gets you some nice, comfortable running shoes.
I get a knee to pop. Who are we watching?
Tristan Norman, 3-star from Montgomery, Alabama. He's 6 foot 167, runs a 4.47 40. Has 27 offers, including from Georgia, Georgia Tech, A&M, and Auburn.
He's a burner. Oh, a good high point. Okay. This kid plays in Alabama.
Yeah, Montgomery.
This is the, oh my Lord. 167?
Yeah, he's got to put a little bit of weight on it.
Little Xavier Worthy comp right here.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that's some burners. We got track times on this dude?
No track times, but the official 40 time is 4.47, which isn't Xavier Worthy-esque, but he's cooking folks.
And he's high pointing folks too. I like seeing some contact strength. Bro, and the other thing I'm noticing about every single one of these games, they're playing dudes. Mm-hmm. This is big time Alabama football right here.
That's probably one of my favorite plays that he just made. This drag route where he doesn't see the mesh point, but just runs around this other player. Look at this.
What? That's tremendous athleticism.
Little hitch.
Way to fight back to the football. I love this. Okay, I wish I had Epic Pen, but it's okay. I can do a good enough job here. Let's pause it at the top of the route. Okay, there's the dig, right? All right, the ball is thrown right now. He's right here at the 15?
Yep.
He's going to catch this ball almost at the 20, fighting back down the stem of that. That's how we attack the football. When coaches are talking about go attack the ball, run through the ball. That's what they're talking about right here. Because guess what? In college, that guy's going to be on your backside right here, fighting through your hands to make that an incompletion.
And he cribbed it.
Yeah, good contact balance right there as well. Contact strength and balance.
I don't have track times, but it says in the long jump he jumped 22.6.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I think just for reference here, I think Malachi Starks was a 24-1
Yeah, I mean, still.
in the long jump.
As someone who jumped 18-22 is very impressive.
That's how we're going to do it on this show from now on. We're going to compare. We're going to compare Power 5 athletes to just Joe and Schmo over here. Coming from a guy who jumped 18 feet.
It was 18-9, actually.
Coming from a guy who ran a 5'1".
I didn't run a 5'1", bro. Give me a break. Good Lord.
I was talking about myself now, okay?
Does he crib this?
Yeah, he cribs it
for
all.
Sure.
He cribs it all.
Oh, safety took a good angle, though.
Yeah, he did. Oh, boo!
Dang.
4-star?
3-star, actually.
What?
Ooh.
It's because of the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. That's a good out route right there. That's a perfect route. Okay, I don't know how they coach this up over there, but watch him not. He's going to roll this. Okay, he's not going to cut his feet to the grass. All right, he's going to roll that out. Rolled it at perfect at what's that? 10 yards. He's right at 10. Look at that ball at the 29. Okay, stick at the 29. He's right at the 39. Rolling this right to 10. He's going to catch this right at the sticks. Okay, right back down to 10. That is a perfectly ran route. That is a technician right there doing what he's taught to do. So, yeah, you got the burners, you got the juice, you got high point guys, you're routing, you're fighting back through the football. I am a fan.
Let's go.
I am a fan.
Baby.
2 for 3.
It ain't the tape you brought me last week. The tape you brought me last week was crazy as shit. That kid out at Nevada.
Lineman.
Woo! Bishop Gorman. What's his name again? We got it.
It was... I got it somewhere in my notes.
That's good stuff right there.
Oh, his nickname was Tank. I know that.
Yeah. Man, it's been a long week, boys.
James Carrington was his name.
James Carrington. Tank Carrington. Gainesville tomorrow morning, 6:30.
Back in
AM?
town.
Houston County.
6:30 a.m. or p.m.?
6:30 a.m., baby. We up and at 'em.
Well, I mean, Alpharetta was practicing at 7:30, so... Like,
Correct.
It's a fair question.
We'll be at Gainesville tomorrow morning, 6:30, and then we're going to drive down to Houston County tomorrow afternoon. So that's where I'll be. Be at Houston County, Warner Robins. Might go by North Side as well while I'm in town.
Man, you got chat thinking I ran a damn 5'1" now.
No, I ran the 5'1". At 305 pounds, bench pressing 430.
I didn't bench press 430.
I did it once and then never touched it again.
What was your clean?
315.
Oh, damn.
My senior year, and then 26 reps at 225.
Yeah, you were stronger than me.
I was a guy,
One of them dudes.
What was your squat?
Over 500 pounds once, 5'10" once in college, and then never squat. I didn't squat again for another 3 years after that.
Most I got up to was 405, which is...
I felt like my spine was going to come out.
Dude, yeah, you feel like the top of your head's going to fall to your asshole.
Straight up. That's what I felt like. And
like in Mortal Kombat, dude.
I racked it, turned around, and looked at my strength and conditioning coordinator and said, no more.
Chiropractor.
End of career under this.
Probably shrunk like a half inch off of that.
Yeah, good bit. My favorite squatting story was my freshman fall. We had 6 a.m. lifts, and we went out on a Thursday night knowing that we had 6 a.m. lifts at 5 o'clock or at 6 a.m. the next morning on a Friday. The funny thing about drinking and binge drinking is that oftentimes when you go to bed late, you still wake up hammered. Mm-hmm. So I went into lifts completely slobber-knockered and went to go rack 405 for a set of 6. Completely whiffed the rack. Like completely. Not like had one hung up. I'm talking about like thought I had put it on the rack, went to walk up underneath it, 405. Boom, right to the safety racks on the ground. And the whole weight room turned around and was like, "You good, bro?" And I'm like, "Not at all. Good. Not at all, dog. I am not good.
I just lost all confidence.
I am hammered up in this joint, bro. We need to get up out of here." Yeah. Stay away from alcohol, kids. Appreciate you guys. Love you. We'll see you next time.